Shut up and sit down.
Welcome, everybody, to the 3POA podcast, episode 95. I'm your host, LaserPants, also known as Ryan. I am joined, as always, by the man behind Action Force and the CEO of Valaverse, Bobby Vala. What's up, man?
Why'd you cut my music so quick? No, don't half-ass it.
I'll do it again.
No.
I just want to get into it.
I'm always like an afterthought with you.
Well,
I get zero respect on this show.
That's not true.
100%.
Listen, you should see all the insults people are already throwing at me in the chat. You get nothing but respect, okay?
I mean, you're easy to insult, though.
I'm
easy to disrespect. You're easy to insult.
I make myself an easy target. You know, it happens. How you been?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Yeah.
Busy, but I'm good.
Yeah, saw your video today.
Oh, yeah, we're talking about He-Man.
It's very fitting.
Dude, let me tell you something. So, like, some of the diehards, man, talk about going after me in the comments. I'm like, dude, I was just talking about He-Man.
You did insult the 1980s live-action Dolph Lundgren movie.
I didn't really insult it. I said it was, listen, it was critically panned, and it's panned by the fans. It's not like I said anything that people don't already know.
Okay.
I said I still enjoy it. Jeez.
Fine.
Like, if I'm not the positivity police, jeez.
Well, if you were the positivity police, we would not have our guests on tonight. This is true. Let's bring him in and we'll talk about it. From Mondo Toys, please welcome Attack Peter Santa Maria, and Hector. You like it?
That's great.
I can't keep it going too
long.
You got
10 seconds
of
max.
Copyright. Yeah.
I do say that any show where the hosts come on and play their own intro music is like, you guys are right in my wheelhouse, man. It's exactly the way to do it. No, if you don't play your own intro music, who's going to play it?
I mean, I want it to be a show. I don't want it to just be like two goons hanging out and talking about toys. I want it to be a show. So, I got a little flair.
I have controversy right at the top. Let's kick it off.
Let's go.
Let's make it super fun. Okay, I watched the episode that you guys just put up on the Hulk figure, and I want to know what it's going to take to get the Jersey Maniac on air with Bobby Vala at the same time. Why does this guy have to beg and scream? When can we get it, Bobby? When can we get the two of you together finally?
Should we tell
the fans want to know?
Well, it's going to be at least 4 weeks from now because our next Saturday show is already booked. But I told Jersey Manning, I'm like, look, we're going to do it.
I reached out to him, by the way, and I told him that I answered his question on the Motu 112, the figure scales. We're going to have different size characters, so put that to bed right away. And I'd be remiss if I didn't bring that up because, like I said, the people want to know. But I'm glad to hear it. It's great. It's big.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you. First of all, thank you for watching this show. I appreciate that.
Of course.
Also, Hector, now I want to make sure I'm saying this right. Arce. Arce. Okay, so not like the Transformer. Arce.
I wish. Yeah. Sometimes I say RC, and then it's just nicer that way sometimes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so you guys work for Mondo Toys. Peter, you're the senior creative director. Hector, you're also senior creative director / sculptor Like I looked at your Instagram and you had like
Painter.
a list of things.
Yeah, man. I do a little bit of everything here, and I've done a little bit of everything at Mondo. But yeah, I mean, I'm a sculptor, painter, concept artist, whatever you want to say. And oversee the collectibles department.
Awesome.
Jack of all trades. I like it.
Yeah, man. And master of many too, which is rare. He's the man. We have an awesome team that, so many of the people on our team are actual, trained artists first and made, careers out of their art skills. And we've all kind of found ourselves here now at Mondo, which is just awesome. I like to say that we have like the energy that I imagine the old Marvel bullpen would have had when we were reading comics, and like you were getting to know all these names of inkers and letterers, and I feel like we have that energy, and people start to get to know our sculptors and painters that way. So it's really exciting.
I mean, I've never seen this on any website before, but on the Mondo website, you can actually search by artist for the products you want.
100%.
Which is really cool.
That goes back to the history of Mondo. Mondo started off as a t-shirt and poster company, and alternative screen printed posters for movie anniversaries. And so the unique point of view that every artist would bring was what really was the show. And so when I came to Mondo, Hector was already leading an incredible department that was carrying on the same ethics and tradition, where you credit the people on the box, and you get to know who's who. And honestly, that's one part out of respect for the artist. But on the other part, as toy geeks, we love knowing that. Like, we like seeing who's who and getting to know them, because we were inspired by people like that,
Yeah, and I've had a decently long career here in this industry, and I've always heard the term that like, but we're one family, and everyone that puts a little bit, and it's true. Everyone does do a little bit, but the artists that work on these pieces, the sculptors, right? The painters, the concept artists, like, they deserve to be celebrated. And I always told myself, if I ever get into a position where I can lead a team and I can make that choice, that's going to be my number one choice, is to credit all the guys that work on this stuff, all the girls, anybody, right, who works on this stuff. And wants to be credited. They can get credit on the site, and they get credit on the box and all that. Yeah. So yeah, we're very artist forward for sure here at Mondo.
That is cool. Not a lot of companies do that. I know NECA does. Bobby, you do now. You've started crediting on the packaging.
No, I've been crediting the packaging people since day one. I don't credit the sculptors because I use so many different sculptors, and then over in China, the sculptors over there, they touch it too. So it's like, there's a bunch of different hands, but as far as the packaging goes, like, I'll credit, the packaging designer, whoever does the artwork, whoever's doing the photography. So, that's been something that I've been doing, but it's like, it'd be great to have like a movie credits and be able to show everyone. Cause it's like, there's my team out in China. It's like, that's 10, 15 people right there. So, but
yeah, we're a smaller team, and we're actually like a really small team considering how much output comes out. And a lot of it is handled in-house. Not all of it. We work with a lot of folks outside too, but the majority of it happens in-house. So like, our X-Men line, Alex Brewer and Mark Bristow and Tom Rosajowski, like, you see the same names pop up. And on Motu, Tommy Hodges, Emiliano Santalucia, like, you see it again, the names come up again, because it's kind of like we keep small groups on projects when we can.
Peter, you mentioned the bullpen at Marvel. And it's like, as you're talking, I'm like, man, remember back in the day, you'd see the newsletters, fans would write in, and like Jim Shooter would answer back, and the editors and stuff like that. I wish there was like an equivalent of that for the toy industry, dude.
There is, and it kind of is this.
It's
and that's
kind of the pod. It is kind of the podcast, because
it is this, because they would have a podcast. Just think of it. You don't think if Stan Lee was like active right now, he wouldn't have his own weekly show where he's talking to everything. Sure. Yeah. It's 100% that, and not only that, it's the fact that you run a toy company. People know you, and there's a direct line of accountability. Like, if something is great, they know who to congratulate. If something's an issue, they know who to reach out to. And so it's basically that, and then, and I think, again, if we're going to keep this industry going, long after us, you got to inspire new people to want to create, to design, to innovate, right? And so that I think that helps humanizing. It helps it a lot.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm sure people are wondering, like, how'd you get the Mondo guys on? It was all Bobby. So what?
Yeah,
What happened? I want to hear this story.
Well, it was actually Peter. I mean,
it was me.
Yeah.
It's usually Peter.
I watch everything.
This is I just want to say real quick, this is the first time ever Bobby's like, I found our next guest. I'm like, what?
I never find guests.
Never. So go ahead.
First of all, Bobby's got some great content. You know, I always troll all friends in the toy world because a lot of people get by with really low quality production value. And I get it. It's not everybody's main career, but I do appreciate the level of value, production value you bring to your episodes. But you had on an episode where you were talking about our turtle vinyls and you praised them, and I appreciate it. And we're very proud of those. Yeah. You got it. I don't know if you got one of these, man, but this is the flex.
Whoa.
Yeah,
it's a good one.
We'll talk
it's a good one. I'm waiting for my other 3 to come in, and then I got Super Shredder on pre-order, so I'm psyched.
Thank you.
No, I appreciate that. But then you reviewed, and I think quite nicely, you reviewed a much older figure that was really kicked off and run before even Hector was running things here, which was our 2019 Faker. Is it 2019, 2018?
2018 Faker.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
wow.
so
It was that old. Okay.
Yeah. And so just funny enough, we had just released a brand new Faker. Actually, going to have him right here at the end of last year. And I actually happen to think that this is one of the best figures we put out top to bottom in terms of like the engineering, the paint, the accessories. I mean, you got to sculpt it in mechanical parts here. Some good references to famous androids in the sculpts.
Nice.
But immediately I'm like, damn, I want him to, if we deserve to be roasted, so be it. But I want him to get the most updated one first and check it out. And so I sent you one. I don't know if you have ever gotten it yet.
So I have it, and I have Ray, and my YouTube guys come in at the end of the month. And I said, I'm not even going to open them. I said, I want to save them, and I want to do it on camera.
That's all. That's it. That's the best, right? Close the loop.
But yeah, I mean, like I had always known about Mondo, and with my YouTube guys, he's always like, hey, we need ideas. And I'm like, okay, so I'm just trying to find like new content to make. And I'm like, what's a company I haven't really talked about? And I was like, look, I want to review some Mondo stuff. And it just so happened that he brought the Leo as a gift for me the same time I went to this local store, and I went to their section where they had all their hot toys and Sideshow and stuff, and they had a whole section for Mondo, and they had some of the 90s X-Men, and they had some He-Man stuff. They had Hordak. I really wanted She-Ra. I was like, I kind of wanted She-Ra. She looked really cool. They had Lino, which I really wanted Lino because he just looked awesome. But they wanted like $300 for it. And I was like, for this episode, I was like, I'm gonna go with a cheaper figure. I think Faker was only like $160. But I was like, cool, Faker seemed cool. I just didn't know. I didn't know the timeline of it. I also didn't know that you guys weren't part of it. And then Matt just happened to say, hey, I got you this Leo. And I was like, oh, cool, 2 Mondo things that I could do on camera. And I was psyched to go into a Mondo figure. And that Faker, I was like,
it's of the time. And and like I said, it's all, Hector, you can speak to this. Like that was, I think, just as you were starting to become, more and more in control, but still someone else was running the show back then.
No, I wasn't even. Yeah, I wasn't even at Mondo when that Faker and the first original He-Man was released. But you know what? I think it's a good thing to bring up because Mondo, even I would say back in that time when I started in 2019 or maybe 2018 as a freelancer, and the first project I ever worked on was Man at Arms. Man at Arms was the first one I did. But then from there, that Mondo's never really was seen as a toy or collectibles company back then, right? Like it was mainly posters and vinyl records, and that's what people knew us from. Like, Comic-Con, our lines were down the they were huge, and it was everyone getting posters, everyone wanting a vinyl record. No, the toys were just kind of there, right? and it's just great to see that, like, now that we're growing and people are trying to revisit and going back to our old catalog from those days, that like those old figures are starting to pop up again, for the first time for like yourself, dude. Like it was like your first time experiencing a Mondo piece, and it's just kind of funny because it's, I think you would know as an artist, or any of us as an artist, like when you work on an older piece, right, and you go and look back at it, you're like, man, I wish I could have changed a lot of that thing.
I do. I look at my series 1 and 2 stuff, and it's like, yeah, that built the line. But I look at like the figures we're putting out now, and I'm like,
Right.
oh man,
It's
I'm
a big
glad.
difference,
Like,
right?
I'm glad we've evolved. It's like
Sure,
evolving is
exactly.
nice, and
Yeah,
it's like
and
that's why I have them all out, so I could see the evolution of it. But you're still like, oh man, I could have done something different. But you don't know in the moment,
Yeah, and that faker for me, I remember seeing it when it first came out, and I was like, oh man, that's pretty cool. Like it's a pretty cool take on He-Man and all that. It was always in the back of my mind, like I want to revisit that faker, right? It's like, and it just, for whatever reason, we went to a bunch of other characters first. It just didn't, line up. But I just think it's interesting that people are finding some of our older figures, and experiencing Mondo in that way too. And yeah, at the end of the day, it is one of those things where it's like, man, yeah, those are the older ones. There was a lot of things to work out on those older figures too. So.
But it's kind of awesome at the same time for you guys to be like, look at what we did. Like Peter right away was just like, hey man, saw your video. It wasn't like, hey man, fuck you. You don't know what you're talking about. He was just like, look, man, you need to see the new faker. The new shit. And I was like, oh, cool, man. So I'm like,
and Ryan, as we're talking about this, I know you might be lost. Faker's the blue He-Man. So he's like, he's not a big Motu guy. So I just wanted to make sure he's in the conversation.
No, listen.
I'm teasing, dude. I'm teasing.
I know. But so when Bobby said we're having the Mondo guys on, I'm like, well, crap, I don't even collect Mondo. I don't have any Mondo figures. But then I thought about it. I'm like, oh, wait, no, yes, I do. It's up in my kid's room because he stole it from me like a year ago. And this might be older than the blue faker. But I have the Iron Giant.
Oh, yeah, that's a great
Yeah, dude, that was a big deal back when it came out for the first time. It was the
I was
first
literally
ever
just
Iron
asking
Giant.
Peter about that one the other day. I was like, hey, are you guys reissuing that one? Because I love the Iron Giant.
And we don't even have like one in the warehouse. That's how sold out it is. It's like legit. Yeah. It's amazing.
Is it really expensive on eBay?
I've seen
it. No, so send it to me.
I was gonna say.
Someone was just asking.
Is that the 18-inch one or the 12-inch one?
That's the 12. Yeah.
Oh, that's the Mecha version. Okay, yeah. Okay, so that one
someone was just
later,
asking.
and we worked out a couple kinks from the first one. I worked on that one. I remember. I don't even have one of those.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
It's crazy. But the 18-inch one was a big deal when it came out, and I remember people just kind of like, wow, no one's ever done an Iron Giant, figure, and that's kind of what the spirit that I want to keep carrying on here at Mondo, is taking those risks and doing properties that don't really get a lot of love. But that Iron Giant's really good. That's one of those that has just aged very nicely.
It really has. I was Mondo the first one to really do the Iron Giant, because it was like the floodgates opened after that, and then
the 18-inch one that came out, man, I want to say it was like maybe 2017.
It's been a long time. I bought it
and then that version came out in like 2020 or early 2020 or late in 2019. But yeah, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Mondo was the first one to ever release an Iron Giant collectible, especially at that 18-inch scale. Yeah. And then after that, the floodgates kind of did open over the years.
Cool. All right. So, Peter, you first. How did you get started in the toy industry?
I snuck in.
Okay.
I snuck in. So toys has been my dream my whole life to figure out how to work. I remember I used to collect. It was a 2000X He. I mean, we grew up with toys, obviously, but as an adult, it was the 2000X He-Man line, and it was the Mezco Comics Hellboy line that I'm just like,
oh yeah,
I couldn't live the rest of my day not thinking about those figures. They were just in my head all the time. And so I started, like I said, I would read Action Figure Modeler. I was reading Toy Fair, obviously, and getting to know and understand that there's an actual industry of people who can do this for a living. I live in Miami and I grew up in Miami, so there's no shred of industry around that. And so it was just going to conventions in Florida, kind of seeing some stuff, because back then the Florida shows were real narrow in terms of who would show up. But then when I went to Comic-Con for the first time, dude, it blew my mind seeing the Mezco booth back then. The Mattel booth back then, when they were doing the Batman figures from the Four Horsemen. You remember those? And like people waited in line to get the blue Neil Adams color one and the Keldor. It was just like, it just blew my mind that this was such a thing. And seeing 2-up maquettes, in a booth, I was like, what is this? It was just like a Saul to Paul moment, to use my like Catholic upbringing. And so I just wanted to figure out a way in. I didn't have I studied sculpting. I'm a trained, classical drawing and painting and all that kind of stuff. But I didn't find a way in until I made a name for myself as an artist. I'm doing like linoleum block prints of like Godzilla and King Kong, and starting to work with Sideshow, starting to work with, I worked with Skybound for a few years as an in-house artist in residence. So like along the way, I got my posters into the Mondo break room. I found out that one of the guys at Mondo at the time started following me, and I couldn't get on their radar. So I said, hey, if you like my work, I'll send you 4 prints of your choice if you take another batch and just leave them in the break room. And he did it. And so I got on the Mondo radar. They released some of my posters. It sold out, kind of like shot me into a different area of acknowledgement from the fans. And then Hector and I became really good friends, because on a live stream, Bobby, much like I kind of called you immediately after that, I was on a live stream right after my prints sold out, and I saw Hector pop up, and I go, Hector, hey guys, this guy works at the toy division at Mondo. Tell him you want to see an Attack Peter Godzilla figure. And everyone was like, ah! And then just Hector reached out to me immediately, said, let's do it. We became friends after that. And the second that something opened up at Mondo, I was like, I got to go work with this guy. Because to me, Hector is, and I say this all the time, so he's not going to be surprised, but I think Hector is like a one-of-a-kind guy that, like you gave him his credits at the top, but he's also an incredible leader. The team loves to work with him. And when I see something like that, I'm like, I got to, attach my wagon to that guy's going somewhere. And then we just happen to become really good friends in the process. So that's how it started. And now he and I kind of like oversee all the creative at Mondo, which is a huge honor. And super fun, and you get free toys, so it's fucking cool.
That's awesome.
Well, since you said how great Hector is, I want to bring up his Instagram, because I was scrolling through this earlier, and some of your work is unbelievable, man. This is some really, really cool stuff. Anyone in the chat, it's Hector Sculpture on Instagram.
H. Arce Sculpture on Instagram.
Oh, you're right. H. Arce Sculpture.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's phenomenal work. So did you come in kind of the same way? You kind of fell into the toy industry, or?
Yeah. So I was going to school, and I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do art. I had a broad freaking major, studio art major. And so it made me take a bunch of different classes. One of them was just sculpting. And luckily for me, because I heard otherwise from other sculpting teachers at that same school, but this guy was really encouraging of just like, hey, you guys into superheroes? Are you guys into sci-fi? You guys into horror? Sculpt that. Like, do what you love. I don't care. Just sculpt, right? Sculpt something. So my first thing, like, I'm a big Godzilla guy, if you didn't notice behind me. I'm a big Godzilla guy. So the first thing I ever sculpted, was a giant, like 20-inch Godzilla sculpt out of Super Sculpey, right? I threw it in like a giant kiln at the college, because that's where they did their ceramics and stuff like that. And then he was like, hey, you should put it up on your website, or do you have a website? I was like, no. He's like, well, here, try DeviantArt, or try one of these, right? And
DeviantArt, holy crap.
Yeah, so I was like, okay. So I put it up on DeviantArt, and then a year passed, and I kept doing stuff, and I kept going to his class. I went to Advanced Sculpt and all that stuff, doing the same thing. And over the years, that Godzilla image got shared around on Godzilla message boards, and it somehow got the attention of the guys making the new Godzilla movie from the 2014 movie, right? And they're like, hey, we really love your design. We'd love you to come by. We'd love to talk to you. And this was like legendary pictures. It was crazy. So I went there. That kind of kickstarted my career, where they're like, hey, we want you to help us just flesh this out a little bit. It was really early in the movie. Like, it was just to help them come up with a visual kind of board for Godzilla, I would say. And then from there, you know, I worked a little bit in the movie industry for about a year and a half. ZBrush came around and, you know, talk about technology, you know, kind of taking over, you know, certain artist traits and stuff like that. And it's not like for me, I was just being really stubborn. So I didn't grab onto ZBrush when I probably should have. So I was like, no, I'm going to keep doing things in clay. Like that's what I do. So then that led me to have a little bit of a down period. And then my first job was at Pop Culture Shock Collectibles. And my first like real
PCS.
Yeah, PCS at the time was Pop Culture. I think now they're called Premium something Collectibles, whatever. I mean, and yeah, I worked there with Jerry Macaluso. I don't know if you guys know him at all, but it's like high-end.
He's on Face Off, if that's what you're thinking.
He was on Face Off.
Okay.
Sci-fi?
The Sci-Fi Channel.
Not the Nicolas Cage movie.
Not the Nicolas Cage movie. No, I wish, but no. Anyway, long story short, that kind of threw my career into working on high-end collectibles. You know, PCS was very similar to Sideshow, but they were doing more of like the video game stuff. And then I went to Gentle Giant for a little bit. And then I stumbled upon Mondo, basically looking for freelance work. And then from there, that kind of just led to what it is now. Eventually, they're like, yeah, come on board as a jack of all trades. It was kind of what they hired me for. You can sculpt, you can paint, you can project manage, you can talk to factories, do all of that. And it was a team of 3 people doing that. And then pandemic hit, things got crazy, everyone went remote, and the team turned into a team of 2. And then from there, you know, we've been slowly trying to grow it, and from 2 to 3 to 4 and so forth. So yeah.
So you're a big Godzilla fan. How'd that start?
Man, I remember when I was a little kid, I was at a Kmart. You guys remember Kmart?
Oh yeah,
of
baby.
course, man.
Yeah, man. It's one of my favorite places that hunt for toys when I was little. But my mom was shopping for who knows what, and my dad, the usual thing he would do was put me in the little cart, right? And he would go straight to the TV section. And he'd be like looking at TVs that we couldn't afford, right? He'd be looking at, you know, all these VHS, all this stuff, right? And I remember we were going by, and then I saw the cover of Godzilla versus the Sea Monster, which is just Godzilla coming out of the water and like a crab is like attacking him. And I was like, whoa, Dad, like that's a dinosaur. And he's like, oh yeah, it's Godzilla. You know what Godzilla is? I was like, no. And he's like, let's buy it. So he bought it. And then that night, like we watched it together. And I remember being really scared at first because I was like, what is this? Like, I didn't really realize he was a giant monster, right? Mm-hmm. And he would then be fighting a lobster or whatever, a bira, right? And that kind of started my love, man. It was like from there on, I was like hooked. I was like, wait. And he was like, there's more movies. I was like, what do you mean there's more movies? And then it was just like hunting for those gods. Because back then it was tough to find them. We had a Japanese market nearby where we could go and find some of the Bandai toys from back in the day. But there was really nothing here for Godzilla other than
I remember getting like going to the library and finding like photo books and looking at stills from the Godzilla movies. We'd go to like the local like video rental place. This is before
Where did you grow up? Where'd you grow up?
Seattle.
Okay.
We'd go in there and they probably had 4 or 5 Godzilla titles, always checked out.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see any Godzilla probably until my late teens. You know.
Yeah, man.
I think my second Godzilla movie was the American one when he looked like a T-Rex.
The Matthew Broderick movie. Yeah.
You know, it's a perfect, like for people who work on stuff, whether you're like making, designing figures or editing videos, like it's a perfect thing to have in the background for a vibe setting. Just like you never have to worry about you're missing the plot. You look up, it's awesome monsters beating each other or some cool retro Japanese stuff.
Yep.
Can't win. It's like the best screensaver.
So what'd you guys think of Godzilla -1?
It's perfect.
Oh my god, yeah,
so
it's perfect. And it's a perfect movie for if someone's never seen or paid attention to a Godzilla movie all the way through. You don't have to know anything. To me, it's like a Spielberg movie. It's like an Amblin film in Japanese.
It really was. Yeah, my wife, who she knows of Godzilla through me, obviously at this point, but she never really seen any of the old ones. And we went to go see -1 in the theater, and she was like, "Wow, are they all this good?"
No.
She was like really shocked. He was really shocked at how good it was, and I was like,
I know.
"Well."
I drugged my wife along with me to see Godzilla -1.
I think you drugged your wife. I'm like, bros.
No, well, I did that too.
That's why hit the half-hour mark.
I drug her along with me to Godzilla -1, and if someone told me that at the end of the movie she'd have a tear coming down her face, I'd be like, "You're crazy. You're high."
Yeah.
But sure enough, I mean, she loved it, and it just speaks to the movie itself. It's not just a monster movie; it's a human movie at its core. It's so good.
It's the first time I actually felt like, as an adult, fear from Godzilla. Like that when he's chasing them in the water, I'm like, damn, dude, this is intense, dude. Yeah, it was amazing.
Like, I didn't roofie her, Blake. What are you talking about? Jeez.
A new hashtag on the way.
Yeah. Okay, so you guys are at Mondo, and you have a lot of cool IPs that you guys make products for.
Now we do.
MondoShop.com. So the now I forget his name, of course, but he takes amazing photos of your Batman the Animated.
Yeah, Raul. I mean, he does it for everything. Like a lot of it, like as Raul Barrero.
We have a couple guys. We have a couple guys who do stuff. We have Raul Barrero, which is he's does all of our Masters of the Universe, and he did this shoot right there for Clayface.
Yeah.
But we also work with Posable Productions at times.
That's who I was talking about. Posable Productions.
Posable Productions does some of our photos too, and Lord Bulbasaurus. He does some of our photos as well, but Raul Barrero is the one who did these, and he does all of our Masters of the Universe photos.
Yeah, Lord Bulbasaurus is local here. I see him at all the shows.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, nice guy.
Are you in Texas now?
Oh, did he move to Texas? He was in Seattle.
Yes, he was in Seattle. Yeah, now he's over in Texas.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
So the Batman the Animated Series, huge for me and Bobby.
Yeah.
Like we're the same age, came up. I never thought we would see figures from Batman the Animated Series that looked this good. And nothing against Kenner. Those are phenomenal for their day.
They were the best at the time.
They were.
I mean, to take the 2D characters and put them in 3D and they look perfect was a feat. Like these are amazing. I mean, I'm glad they're not in 112 because I don't have to buy them because I'd be even more broke than I am.
It's funny because this figure. I mean, we're proud of everything, but this is one of those where we're like, holy crap, we pulled it off, and it's not only less surprised about how great the sculpt and paint look, because we know Mark Bristow painting something's going to look perfect. Alex Brewer sculpting something, it's going to pop off the screen as if it's the cartoon. But we set out to do something different with this one, and which is to create a semi-seamless body, right? Some areas where you don't see as many of the articulation points, because for some reason, Clayface, right? We're just like, it has to feel like Clayface, not just look like him. Mm-hmm. And we talked about it, and Hector worked with Tommy, right? Tommy Hodges worked on the endoskeleton. Mm-hmm. And you guys created this amazing, feat of engineering where there's like a fully ratcheted, articulated endoskeleton inside this figure. And then there's soft durometer parts in the torso and the arms. So, you don't lose the detail of the sculpt if you're someone like me and just likes their museum poses. But if you want the articulation, you can get it with this guy.
Yeah, what was really important in the entire Batman the Animated Series line for me is that show was all about silhouettes. Like you could recognize a character just by their silhouette, right? And the animation is so sharp and so perfect that for me, when we do these figures, articulation usually comes secondary. And it's not because I don't like articulation or we don't want it. It's just because I don't want to break that silhouette, and I want them to feel like they came off the pages as much as possible. So that means as little like intrusive cuts as we can include while still giving them mobility. And like Peter said, they're meant to be museum figures, right? Really, like you're meant to you can pose them and get them in some good positions, but it's really meant to feel like it came right out of the show. And so with Clayface, when we originally sought out to make him, which is crazy that we even decided to make a Clayface.
That we got this far.
yeah, exactly. When I first started at Mondo, I never thought we'd get to Clayface, right?
No.
Which is my favorite character from that show. Oh, but we tried the articulation in the arms and stuff, and it's like, okay, we could hide it with the the clay folds and all that stuff, but then it really started to break here at the shoulder. So we decided, let's try to go for a semi-seamless body, especially in the arms, especially here in the chest. and in the torso, like the main thing we didn't want to break was, the pelvis articulation, right? Like you're gonna have to break it at the waist, and that just messed up his look. So he has such like a V-shaped body that we decided, okay, let's make the lower torso, the upper torso, and some of these areas, with an armature inside, and it's a PVC, palm ABS armature, kind of like a standard figure, right? But then we have a different kind of like a PVC skin over it.
Yeah, if you guys go back and watch our Mondo Toy Talk on our YouTube channel, we actually break down every step of the way because we think it's fascinating. I'm sure so many people watching would also agree, and seeing all the work that goes into the engineering, not just the sculpt of what you see on the outside, but how to make it work. And so we kind of show all those steps, all the exploded view, and you really see how much went into that one. And I'm just so proud of it.
Absolutely. Now,
and he scales well with 112. Don't worry, you can pick it up.
I know.
Yeah, I guess Clayface could, right?
You're good.
I mean, it's only 260. I didn't, just throw it in the cart.
Yeah.
Never mind. I just bought a dragon.
What's at this point? It's a marginal expense on top of that. Are you kidding me? It's like
it's nothing. Chump change. Let me check my couch cushions. So you also got to work on. I go back and forth. What's the best cartoon in the '90s? The X-Men or Batman? I probably lean towards Batman, but number 2 would definitely be X-Men, and you guys get to work on that too. When I first, Wolverine was the first one you did, right?
Yeah. Many, almost 4 years ago at this point was the first one, and it was only meant to be a Comic-Con exclusive originally,
like a gag,
like
a cool gag.
Yeah,
it wasn't part of. It wasn't.
Yeah,
they weren't planning a line at the time.
It was a great con exclusive. I mean, it's almost the same figure as the regular release, but then you got to do the whole meme. I'm
really leaned into the meme for sure.
1/6 pillow.
Yeah, with the photograph, that was great.
That was a really cool piece. It's funny. When I joined, the line had just started to kind of like, there was, I guess, 2 figures out at that point when I joined. After this Wolverine, Magneto and Jubilee, or Magneto was about to ship or something like that, and or Jubilee was about to ship. And so it's funny because every figure after this original Wolverine that you have on screen from that time was worked on by Alex Brewer, who sculpts for us. And this Wolverine had always been the one that was not, I mean, it's a great figure. It looks great. People love it. And, but it doesn't feel, when you start to look at his other stuff, like Alex Brewer. And so that's why we came around this year and dropped a new Wolverine that we internally refer to as the Brewverine, because it's Alex's sculpt, and I see it. No, that's the old one too.
Yeah,
that's the old one too.
Just go to the 6 scale.
Yeah,
go to collectibles
on the top tab.
Okay.
In the red, there you go. 1/6, there you go.
Yeah, and then this will give you everything we've done, because
there's the new one in the brown variant.
Oh, it's the X-Men '97 version. Okay.
Kind of, not exactly. That's the thing that we point out all the time. The branding is X-Men '97 now, as per the licensors. But what Alex does with these is he kind of takes, a little bit of everything, and there's heads that are nods to 92. There's heads that are nods to 97. There's accessories that are clearly a reference to one era, not the other one, but ultimately it should just feel like an animated X-Men representation.
Yeah, phenomenal.
Get that nice chest.
Yeah, it's awesome. He comes with a second torso.
Yeah. We don't skimp on accessories, that's for sure.
That just means you got to buy 2, right? You can't display one.
I've been saying it.
Yeah. Drew G has a great question. And this is from my heart. Can you make them in 6-inch?
Well, we couldn't make anything in 6-inch for the longest time, and now we have 2 lines that are about to start arriving. Well, one that's about to start arriving, which is our Real Ghostbusters line, and we obviously just showed off the first prototype for our He-Man in the 1/12 scale 6-inch Master of the Universe line. So, who knows? The future is always there's always a possibility, but right now we're just super stoked to be in the 1/12 game.
Yeah, it's one of those things where we wish we could, and if we could, we'd do it, kind of thing.
Right.
We think with these waves coming out, the Ghostbusters and the Motu figures, people will see what we can do in 112, and who knows, who knows after that.
So, speaking of the 112, this was the first 112 figure that you showed, the Egon.
Peter
right?
Venkman with Sam Hain was actually the first one, but this one we showed them off, I think, at the same time. We showed them
off together, at Comic-Con last year.
Yeah.
It was Peter Venkman, Sam Hain, Egon, and Boogeyman.
There was a lot, and we talk about this a lot on the show. We talk about cost, price.
Yeah.
There was a lot of controversy over this, and I did see the episode with Mad Hatter, and it was great. But just for our audience, huh?
What episode with him?
You guys jumped in one of his Friday morning shows.
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah. With him,
we were roasting Nostalgia Unbox.
Yeah, that was great. But anyway, being that it's 112, with the license, was there a certain price point you had to meet in order to do it?
Look, the reality is that a lot of these factors are determined by things that are outside of our hands, right. So there are, you can imagine, without getting into specifics, that there's like other waves or other figure lines of these characters, and they're at certain price points. And, it ended up that there was probably, it ended up that there was a certain lane that we had to stay in. And so we had the decision to proceed or not. And we knew it would be tough. And we also know that there's like really premium 112 scale lines out there.
Yeah.
We talk all the time about Storm Collectibles and other figure lines that are doing high end stuff in that scale. And that's a price point. It's a price point, not the only price point, but it's a price point. So we were just hoping that we could deliver enough value. And I think when people get this thing in hand, like the 2-packs are gnarly. The 2-pack is really like a 2.5 pack or a 3-pack if you consider Slimer a character or the intro Ghost. And then even the solo Ghostbusters come with that Ghost Buddy and then a separate Ghost in the Trap. So it's kind of like 4. But there's so much in here. It's like our treatment for 1/6, the amount of accessories and swappable parts, the premium sculpts and paint applications that I think people will be really stoked to see in 112. I think people will realize that there is the value there, and it was the only way we could do it. And those are the old glasses. We got thinner glasses on Egon now.
John Garrett asks, he mentions the story of how the real Ghostbusters came to be.
It's crazy, dude. Heck, do you want to talk about it?
Yeah. So, we've been trying to do 112 for a long time, just in general. But we never really found a way to get into that because, as some of you may know, and it's a tough space to get into if you're new, right? Like some of the older toy companies and all this kind of stuff have kind of staked their claims. So it's tough, but our amazing sculptor, Alex Brewer, he went and just did these for fun one year.
Wow.
And put them up on his Instagram page.
Yeah.
And he wasn't expecting anything to come from it. He didn't
even tell us he was doing this.
Yeah, he just did it. He just said, I forget, he did it for some anniversary or something, and he put Peter up, Sam Hain, I think he put Egon and all of them, and then people went nuts over it, right? So much that our one of our guys we work with, who's in our licensing team, he's like, "Hey, are we making these?" And I'm like, "Well, can we? Like, let's go, let's do it."
It's not as Machiavellian as people might think over here. It's really just a bunch of knuckleheads.
Yeah. I mean, we're really just like, hey, what can we do? What can we do that we love? And that's it, really. And that's it. It was one of those things, right? He just put it out into the world. The world responded. It got into the right eyes. It got in front of the right people, right? Even within us, it got in front of the right people. And then the ask was made, and then they eventually came to be. And I just love how they turned out.
It's one of those figure lines. It's like one of the last the last nostalgic important sets of characters and designs have never been made into a figure. And there's so many companies who are doing great stuff with like Like I think about NECA and TMNT, like that's a masterpiece line, you know, like both the movie and the animated. And so there was just almost nothing really left to mine because we all assumed that if this could have been done, it would have been done by now. And we just, we got lucky, you know, it was like a perfect storm. And I just think there was a lot of goodwill behind it because there's so many Ghostbuster fans that are like asking for this. And we had those conversations. We're like, okay, these are the parameters that were put in our place. Do we want to go forward or not? You know, and we all just felt like this figure line has to come out and the chips can fall where they may. But Alex, you know, this is, and Alex and Mark Bristow, they're diehard Ghostbuster fans, like even more than we are. And our head of licensing at Funko, Jason Bischoff, is a huge Ghostbuster fan. So like there was just so much momentum and energy. Like, let's just get this done and put it out however we have to, and just make sure they're awesome, and make sure that when they arrive, they're awesome, and make sure the packaging is awesome. And so, yeah, it's just, it just, I think it was like kind of fated to happen.
Yeah, and so we did 2 versions. The version you're looking at now is like the single packs, right? But our 2 packs come with the ghosts, right? So Peter comes with Sam Hain, and Boogeyman, or Egon comes with Boogeyman. So like if you went to like collectible, it's just 1/12 in general up there. Yeah.
When I saw that, you know, Hasbro was got the Ghostbusters license and they reissued the old Kenner figures, I'm like, all right, I get it. That's cool. Low hanging fruit. Cool. But I was like, all right, well, you're going to do like highly articulated, updated versions of them, right? And then it like never came. And then I saw these. I'm like, okay, finally someone got it and is doing it. Cool.
Yeah, we're stoked. And I think there's a lot of room, you know, if there's a silver lining to the price point, it allows you to have, you know, space to do a lot of premium touches, high touches. And so, you know, we had time to work out a lot of things. And I think these are the figures that you want if you're a fan of this line.
Yeah, you know, given the price point, and allowed us to do so much deco on these, right? Like none of it is just going to be exposed, you know, injected plastic. All of it is going to be completely painted. There's shading. There's all sorts of techniques and just detail work. Just the Proton pack alone has so many hits of deco on it that is just like, you know, we get to, because of the higher price point, we get to really dive in there and try to offer like a premium figure, kind of similar to what we're doing with our 1/6 scale, right? Like all the deco hits that we have on our 1/6, we're doing it here with these guys. And, you know, it's really cool. It's really cool to see it at this level.
Awesome. All right, let me. I got to get to the chat. They're yelling at me, and they're already making fun of me. I don't know if you guys know this, but they're making fun of me because I'm the guy that's never seen Ghostbusters. I have seen the cartoon. I watched the cartoon.
The movie. That's weird. Yeah,
I've never seen any Ghostbusters movie.
Maybe drug yourself this time and go right in. You know what I mean?
Well, I probably would have by now, but it's become such a thing on this show that I'm like,
well, just never admit it when you do see it.
I'm like,
we talk about like when we're at one of the cons, like us just having a night where we sit down and watch Ghostbusters. We've talked about that.
You should host a screening.
Exactly. Right? Yep. And
then
make a YouTube video.
And you're watching the movie, and everyone else is sitting actually watching you. It's like this really meta experience. It's cool.
I mean, here I am watching Peter watching Predator. I'm like,
oh yeah,
awesome.
Always.
Cutting out a little bit.
Yeah, Predator hurt him. He's done.
Oh, they hit him with a copyright strike.
Yeah, you had the laser sights on you. We saw it.
You missed it. It was like right here.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the chat because we got a lot of good questions here. First, there's a few member chats. True Star Screamer, thank you for 3 months. I appreciate you. He says, all about 3POA and chill with me and the missus. Gonna sax her up for me. Sure, I can do that. Also, Mondo sculpts are god dang gorgeous. They are.
Thank you.
Great figures.
Thank you.
Thank you, True Star Screamer. Impossible Pie, member for 20 months. No message, but thank you, Mr. Pie. Grizzly Nightmare 80, thanks for the super chat. Mumra looks awesome. Can't wait for pre-orders. I do want to bring that stuff up. Hector, I know your time is limited, so I want to get to some of the WonderCon reveals before you go. But thank you, Grizzly Nightmare. Mum-Ra is awesome. Let's see here. M. Vargo, thank you for the member chat, buddy. Appreciate you. Let's see here. Figure Report says Mum-Ra was one of the most impressive things I've seen. Incredible in person at WonderCon. Let me cue that up. TNT Skate, are your products blow molded? I don't think they are.
No, the only thing we actually did do a blow molded product recently was our Nightmare vessels. It was
Nightmare vessels.
It's a homage to old Halloween decor meets our love for soft vinyl toys. So we kind of put them all together. You get the vessel, which is meant to look like a retro Halloween decor. We did Halloween 2 and we did American Werewolf in London. And we have 2 more coming out this year, which are really cool. But then you kind of open it up, you rummage through it, and you pull out a soft vinyl toy from the inside. So those are actually blow molded pieces, the pumpkin and the Kessler wolf.
Cool. All right, since Figure Report mentioned it, let's bring this up. You showed this at WonderCon. What was it, last week?
Yeah, last weekend.
Yeah. There it is. There it is. It's pretty damn impressive.
Wow.
1/6 scale, by the way. 1/6.
Yeah, he's like 13.5 inches tall, just about. Maybe a little bigger.
So what do you think, Bobby?
Impressive, man.
You gonna start collecting Thundercats now?
It's gonna be real bad. It's gonna be real bad. I mean, it's like I got into 12-inch over the last year and a half, and now I'm like, oh crap, it's gonna be bad. Every time I sell an Action Force figure, I'm just gonna buy a Mondo one. So,
I wanted to call because I had seen someone ask in a previous episode, but there is the insignia burned onto his chest under that chest piece.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. So you can remove all that stuff. Like you can remove his chest piece, his cape, his all the bandages are removable. So you can kind of get him to the look that you are most comfortable with. But yeah, he does have the insignia in his chest.
That's awesome.
Underneath that piece.
So you guys have a Lion-O out, Mum-Ra.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's safe to say you're probably going to have a few more Thundercats in the pipeline.
Did we show off the other one at WonderCon? Did you?
Yeah. So we for sure, and I mentioned this too on the floor when I was meeting with a bunch of Mad Hatter and stuff like that. Toy shiz. But yeah, I mean, we definitely want to get through that core cast, right? And we announced Shatara, so she'll be next. She'll be after Mum-Ra, and then you're going to probably expect another core team member, and then next year, hopefully, round out the core cast, and then start getting into some of the fun, some of the fun villains throughout for that show, and then keep going from there. Hopefully,
right on.
I've always been a sucker for the Mummy Mum-Ra.
Me too. Oh yeah,
awesome. I had him as a kid, and it's like, you should do him and then just put him in a brown box like he's a mail away.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, and I mean, I think with all the since this line is kind of similar to our Masters of the Universe 1/6 scale line, which is we do reinterpretations of the characters, right? It's kind of like our versions, while still trying to stay true to the lore. Like we pull from everything, right? Like that Mum-Ra, like all those accessories, they come from something, right? We didn't just create them out of thin air. A lot of them are references to the TV show or the original toy or the comics or whatever. But like the Motu line, there's a lot of fabric with these figures. So the Mummy Mum-Ra with just a full on hood and shroud is going to be really cool too.
Yeah. That's awesome that you touched on that about kind of making it your own. Because when I did that, the video, the Mondo video, I talked in the beginning about that 12-inch Legends line I did, which was a failure, but
ahead of its time.
Ahead of its time, but it was just like that.
Yeah,
I loved it because I got to have free reign over it. Marvel was just like, do what you want to do. And I was like, so I could just design Captain America's costume? They're like, yeah. I'm like, that's awesome. Great. Let's go.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's a great value to fans, I think, collectors too, because how else do you start to kind of differentiate among your collection? You could end up in a situation, and by the way, this happens collecting kaiju soft vinyl figures where you get the same character, over and over in different paint apps. So it's not unheard of in that realm. But otherwise, if you don't have artists with points of view and adding design features, like you will have the same thing over and over and over again, so it's cool that you can put that thumbprint on it.
Well, that's why I fell in love with this, because I was like, yeah, it's an interpretation of the original Turtles, but you guys put your own spin on it, and you heard me rave about this thing.
Yeah,
Matt brought this thing to me. I fell in love with it. After we filmed that video, I was playing with this thing for like an hour. Like
your reaction on that video, and I encourage people, if they haven't watched it, to go check it out, because your reaction on that video is exactly what we had. We didn't really intend this. We were designing something. We had a feeling, there was a vibe, but when we started getting the first prototypes in hands, we all just kind of like went, dude, we made something that doesn't only have a nostalgic like aesthetic, but it has a nostalgic feel like in your hand. Because when we were young, when we were kids, you hold a Ninja Turtle figure and the shell would fill up the whole palm of your hand in a certain way that you would not be able to explain to someone who didn't have Turtles figures when they were kids. And so when you get these in hand, they hit all the notes of Playmates and all that era, but it's holding that shell in your hand is so weird, dude. It's like a weird thing that like having tactile nostalgia. And so to your point, it's also, it's a soft vinyl figure, right? And yeah, soft vinyl, when we say it, doesn't mean like it's squishy. It's just like a term in the industry for that type of vinyl, as you guys might know.
Yeah, it's a term for the, it's a roto term, right? So it's like the vinyl, it's all done with roto machines and stuff like that. So we do roto vinyl, right? There's different types of vinyl, like Japanese vinyl do a lot of slush vinyl, right? Which is like a traditional way of slushing it by hand and stuff and making sure it gets into all the crevices. There's actual art form to it, and thus the sculpts need to be a lot simpler because you need the material to get into areas while you're doing it manually. When you're doing a roto machine, it's just like, and so we can get a lot of detail. Like a lot of our soft vinyl Godzilla stuff is all roto vinyl, but it's still vinyl, so it has that kind of like light feel. It invites you to want to play with it, kind of like what you're saying. It invites you to want to like hold it, pull it off your shelf. You're not afraid it's going to break, right? It can fall, nothing's going to happen. You can pose it out, but it's really just meant to look cool, right? On your shelf. It's meant to just be like a cool piece that you have on display. Yeah,
like toys as art.
Yeah. Like I have some of my Japanese Godzilla vinyl here over here. It's like I can't, I just love pulling them off. Like this dude here.
Grab one.
By Neo Player One is an amazing piece.
Wow.
That's cool.
And this is a slush vinyl technique, so you can see how it's a lot more simplified, right? All the scales, the shapes are simple, the spikes are a lot simpler, but it's infused with glitter. And it's just inviting, man. And this is actually like slush vinyl is really soft, so you can actually squish it. Right. So there's different durometers, just like in PVC, there's different durometers of PVC, and vinyl's the same thing. This guy's like he's a bit squishy. But it's just, I just love pulling them off the shelf. Whereas like with my 1/6 scale, or even with my 1/12, like I don't really pull them off that much. I kind of pose them and leave them. But with our stuff, with the slush, with the roto vinyl, we can get a lot more detail. So this is just a blank piece, but you can see all this kind of stuff in there, right? So
very cool.
Peter, I love hearing you say, because like I experience it all the time. So when I hear other people experience it, I'm like, he gets it. Like when you get something, you're like, whoa, that worked. Like,
yes, dude.
Holy shit, that worked. And like, you're so psyched about it. And it's like, you're like, have all this like new motivation to like keep doing more and exploring. And it's fun, man. Because
you're always in this. I mean, this stuff is expensive to produce, and people know that. And there's risk involved, obviously, especially when you own your own business. And so, there's always this feeling of like walking the line between innovating and experimenting and being like, maybe irresponsibly risky sometimes. Like there's that little fine line. So when something works, you're just like, oh, like I can't even take credit. This was put through me to send it to the world. It's that good,
Well, and with Turtles too, like there's been a handful of Turtle soft vinyl figures out there in the past, right?
I have a cool one. I'll show you. Keep talking.
Yeah, like Kid Robot did some great ones. Unbox Industries have done some great ones, but a lot of them are hyper stylized, right? And what I wanted to do with this line and Alex Brewer, I mean, that piece is freaking awesome that you're about to pull up. But again, it's very like, it's a very stylized, super stylized take, but it's really awesome.
Dude, this thing is so big, dude. You could kill someone with this. It's so heavy.
That's awesome.
And it's I had never heard about this. It was like one of the best looking, worst marketed figures of all time. I had never seen them. Right? Yeah, it was Kid Robot, licensed through Nickelodeon. All 4 of the turtles were made. They're huge, and they feel more. They have that Sofubi style paint application. He kind of feels like Gamera, the turtle, more than the Ninja Turtle. But it's just an idea like the characters being a platform for design and innovation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and soft vinyl being that platform, right? Because the tradition of soft vinyl has always been like take the characters that you love, and because at the time, right, with just the way soft vinyl was produced, it had to be simplified. They had to simplify the designs, and they were for kids. But they had to simplify the design, so the artist took some artistic liberties, and that is what kind of added to the charm of now. When we're like me, I'm collecting some of these. It's like I'm looking for that kind of like retro look, where even though it's not, and we kind of try to infuse it into our stuff as well. Yeah, I mean,
there's some Ultraman.
And the colors you can play with, like Godzilla, all those Godzillas Peter has right there in his background. Like you can see like how much he had fun with color with the same sculpt, and that's what Sofubi is. It invites you to collect different versions of the same piece. And he fell. Okay.
But they don't break because they're vinyl.
And we did these 3, and it's just like they're all limited. Like that glitter one there was limited only to 100 units, or I think 150 units.
Oh, this one. No, this one.
The green glitter.
That one. Yeah.
Yeah. And then anyway, going back to the turtles, there's been a lot of great turtle vinyl out there, but what I wanted to do here was like put my like old toy collector turtle fan hat on, and it's like, what would I want to see that I grew up with in soft vinyl? So it was like, let's push it more to feel like the old 80s, 90s Ninja Turtle toys, souped up, put it through that kind of stylized soft vinyl lens, but still make it feel familiar, so that to a lot of people who've never collected soft vinyl, it hopefully becomes like a gateway. Like it's like, oh man, like I've never bought soft vinyl, never held soft vinyl before. I didn't know you can get this much detail. I didn't know you can do all this stuff with it. And
it's like our Scare Glow did that last year. Yeah. Did you guys ever see that one?
Mm-hmm.
This thing.
Let's see.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's got the full skeleton inside it, and it glows.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that one we use the slush cast method because the actual anatomy on Scare Glow is very simple, all rounded. No edges. Everything's rounded, right? So we were able to do a slush cast. So he is actually soft, and that's where the term soft vinyl really comes into play because you can actually squish them. Whereas like some of the roto vinyl can be a little firmer.
Yeah.
Cool. Just think how crazy it's going to be in 70 years when turtles become public domain, like Mickey. And people are doing their own iterations of like turtles, like hard turtles and this and that. It's gonna be a wild time.
It almost seems like that's happening now. It's like
I'm about to say, like I saw a video the other day of a 3D printer printing something in like a clear gel. So it printed the whole, and it was like a soft, like what would you call that material? Remember that bag, Hector? It was like a bag.
Yeah. It was printing into it looked like a gel. Yeah.
Yeah. But the material felt like soft, rubbery plastic. And it's like, dude, 70 years. I think we're going to be there in 7 years, dude.
Yeah. Right.
All right. Let's get back to the chat. A lot of questions here piled up for you guys. Darth Gutierrez wants to know if you're Latino.
Yes, both of us.
There we go. Yes. All right.
Yeah. Cuban. Hector, what's your other half? I only remember the important one.
I'm Cuban and Salvadorian.
Yeah.
Okay. Junkie on Crafts and Builds, thank you for the super chat. A small start for Bobby's new Mondo shelf.
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you, Junkie on. And Rowdy Riles, here it is. I've seen you asking. Here's your super chat. Thank you so much for the super chat. Mondo Captain Planet.
We want to do it.
Yeah, we want to. We talked about it.
I might have to race you to it.
I just want it to exist, so be our guest.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
listen. I'm one of those weirdos that just like absolutely loves Captain Planet.
It was
I'm
an
like,
awesome show. We were like,
yeah,
super
and I'm like,
into this,
at
kids.
the rate that everyone is swallowing up 80s and 90s IP, I'm surprised nobody's done it.
Well, you better hurry before Brian Volk-Weiss gets it, because he's the
right?
one.
Yeah.
He's the
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead,
Captain Planet's a weird one because it's like no one's really touched it. It's one of the 90s cartoons. It's like,
yeah, it's
where
also
is it?
like, I looked into another 80s IP and I was talking to the owner of it and he just didn't have any interest in doing anything with it. And I'm like, well, can I buy it from you? And he's like, no. And I'm like, so I can't license it. No, he just no interest at all. Now, the guy that created Calvin and Hobbes was like that. He would only let calendar makers license it to do calendars. He would never let anything else be done with it. I think until like just recently, maybe he passed away or something. But for the longest time, you never saw like Calvin and Hobbes merchandise because he just didn't want to do it. It's like, no, man, let's do it. Do it.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
I don't want a life-size flocked articulated Hobbes.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
1-1.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find it where I left off here. Here we go. Okay, we have some speculative questions here. Will there be any solo pack ghosts down the line for the Ghostbusters?
Never say never, I think. Stay tuned. Right now,
it wouldn't be a re-release of anything that's sold out. We would always try to, if we ever do it, we'll try to find out ways that protect the exclusivity of the collectible that came out,
of course,
and maybe create something new.
Yeah.
And just so everyone knows, Hector has to go in like 9 minutes, so we are let's kind of rapid fire through some of these questions, and then Peter, if you want to hang around, we can go through some more of the WonderCon stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. D's Nuts wants to know, will the Ghostbusters timed editions be available again for purchase?
Not the ones that have sold out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So we hardly ever go back and open up a timed edition again. What we will do, and you can keep an eye on it and sign up for our notify me list and all that stuff, is when we do a timed edition, we always order a little more because safety stock reasons, shipments get lost, damages, whatever it is, right? We always have to account for that stuff. So at the end of the day, when all the orders go out, if there are no problems and we have a small select left in stock, we will notify people and we will get those out, or they may pop up at conventions. We do a lot, and that we've been doing this over for a year now, where we call them warehouse finds, where a lot of these like leftover timed editions kind of pop up at our conventions, and it's a great time for people to get them one last time.
All right. Thank you, D's Nuts, for the super chat. Pokey87 says, thank you for the member chat. I can only hope having Predator playing is a hint. All right, I like the answer. Toy Gains is here. What's up, Toy Gains? Any They Live Aliens plan to go with Nada?
Oh yeah, I hope so. Yeah, right now we're Nada was like McCready is kind of our first foray into going into like a higher fully fabric piece with the more realistic deco. So he's taken a minute to get completed, but he's almost there. Once it ships out to folks, we'll see what happens.
The people who did pre-order it does come with an alien alternative Nada head that we added in there. So there is a little bit of that.
There's a little homage to it. I'm surprised they let us do it, even though it never appeared in the movie.
Cool. Tristan wants to know if you would consider making some of the big bads from Resident Evil, like the Tyrant 103, William Burke, and Nemesis.
I would love to.
I want a Nemesis so bad, dude.
Yeah. Just
all right.
Not at the moment.
Nemesis scared the shit out of me when I was playing that game.
Yeah, dude. Those games, if you play them now, the remakes, they still hold up with that jump scare factor, man.
You hear him, he'd growl like stars. And I was like, whoa. Like, all right, chill out.
And in part 2, wasn't it Mr. X, or what was his name in part 2? The guy who chases you.
Part 2,
who just chases you the whole freaking game.
Oh, stressful, dude.
So stressful.
Dude, those early PlayStation games like Silent Hill, Silent Hill scared I had nightmares about that game.
Dude,
Dino Crisis
2 was burned into my head. That movie, that game scared me so bad.
Mine was Code Veronica on the Dreamcast.
Oh yeah, I remember
Yeah.
Code Veronica. Yeah.
Dreamcast Elite, dude.
Yeah, love
Dreamcast
Dreamcast.
had some good games.
Yeah.
It did. The Watcher wants to know if you can do Psylocke from X-Men and Justice League animated series. Now, at WonderCon, you did tease Superman the animated series. So
Oh yeah, we announced it. Yeah.
you announced it, yeah.
Yeah, we did. We're doing. Yeah, we're finally doing that. You know, again, one of the best. You know, I think Batman the animated series, X-Men. I think Superman's up there too as that '90s really top tier. You know, after school Saturday morning cartoon animation. So yeah, you know, Superman for sure, and you know, Psylocke is one of my favorite characters. I know Brewer loves Psylocke.
Yeah.
So you know, I think
It'll
it's just
happen.
a matter of time with a character.
Everybody has a favorite X-Men character that they think should be next, and we agree with all of them. We just end up picking some in the order that we picked them. But as you guys can see, like we're getting to, we got to Omega Red, like, so, like, you know, we're gonna go as,
and some of it is picked because we just love the character so much. Like Omega Red, like I don't remember at the time anyone really being like, you need to do Omega Red.
0.0.
I love that design. I love how he looks in that show, and we did it. And then, you know, this is kind of like we're doing Nightcrawler, which is coming out at the end of the month, and that's just more out of the love for like Brewer, Peter, me, like we just love.
I want the arcade X-Men, like that. I don't get any lore. I just want the arcade.
We need to round out that cast.
Colossus, Dazzler, Storm is who's missing right now.
Yep.
Watcher, are you sure you want them to do Justice League or even like Justice League Unlimited? That's a lot of characters. You have a massive house if you want them to do that.
Dude, they're such great designs though, man.
They
and
are,
like,
man.
We did Terry Batman Beyond, which is starting to arrive now. People are getting them, and it was like another awesome success. Like, people were so stoked that we did, you know, that figure, and so that's another line. So, you know, what it all comes down to is how many pieces can we put out in a year without drowning people who are collecting these things? Because we know that there are people who collect the Spider-Man animated series, the Batman animated series, the Motu line, X-Men. So, like, even though they're different lines and you space them out, you're like, oh, well, we're only doing one X-Men a quarter. Yeah, but dude, we know that there are collectors who are getting X-Men, Batman, Spider-Man. So it's being mindful of that too, you know.
KJ Smith wants to know, and I don't know if you can answer this yet, but how much is the 112 He-Man going to cost?
Oh man,
we'll have to. That announcement will come soon. There's,
okay.
As you all know, a lot of things at play now, and with the whole world and everything. So
right.
But hopefully we'll announce that in pretty soon here.
Yeah.
All right. Hector, I know you got to cut out. It is your curfew or something. I don't know.
Wait, Hector, before you leave, real quick, who do you think was the best on-screen Joker?
Oh, I'm gonna say
Your
that
opinion.
The guy from the new State Farm commercial.
Oh, stop.
Oh yeah, that was good. That was
It
good.
was really good. No. That's hard. I guess I'd have to go to the Heath Ledger.
Okay.
Why?
I'm getting to it. Ryan.
I go back and forth between Nicholson and Ledger. I'll go with Ledger right now.
Now, I bring this up. For me, it's I go to Jack Nicholson all the time, but I wouldn't fault anybody for saying Heath Ledger. Now, Bobby, you were on a video recently where you had a really interesting opinion. And I respect every opinion. Please, there's a no judgment zone. We're all friends. But what was your take?
I don't know why I'm afraid to say it, because I've said it before.
There's nothing wrong with it. Go ahead.
Listen, I will ride or die with Heath Ledger. Like, I think he's the best as far as volume. He was in a long movie.
But that's not what you said. Go ahead and say what you said.
What I said was the 3-minute scene. Now, everyone knows I am a Snyderverse chill for sure. But that 3-minute scene at the end of Snyder's Justice League, that was the Leto Joker that I wanted, that I knew he could do. Now, if you said Suicide Squad never existed, just focus on, and I try to tell people, like, forget that Suicide Squad existed. That 3-minute scene, the way he acts, the lines he delivers, what he says to Batman, like, it's only 3 minutes long, but I'm like, that is everything I wanted from him. So to me, that 3 minutes was such an impactful 3 minutes that's why I'm like, man,
it's
he's
better than
up
Jack
there
Nicholson.
He's up there with Ledger for me because I'm like, I wanted that.
Yeah.
That is what I want.
No, I hear you, man. I think that scene, had that been the first introduction to Jared Leto's Joker, I think a lot of people would have been like, yes, let's go. Let's go.
I understand why he's so damaged now.
Yeah. That's good. But no, I mean, it was a good 3 minutes, right? And, and there was like a little glimpse of like what could have been, right?
I agree.
It could have been. And, you know, but
it was a hot take.
It was.
I thought
it's a hot take, Hector. You don't have to be that nice. It's a hot take. But I appreciate it. I respect anybody who will say, you know, bizarre things like that on camera. And
I get roasted for talking.
No, it's good.
I think I got roasted in the comments. Like
somewhere, some kid is like, "That's my guy. He agrees with me," and you made that kid's day. One kid.
I'm with you, man. I hear you. I hear what you're saying. I see the angle you're coming from.
Yeah,
and I support it.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
All right,
well,
I won't reveal anything
I'm
without
sorry,
you.
I have to bounce early.
That's
we
okay.
had, you know, dinner plans and stuff with the kids and stuff. So,
it's all good.
But thank you all for having me on the show. It's been really fun.
Thank you, Hector,
Thank
man.
you.
It's been awesome.
Thank you guys. All right.
Have a good night, man.
Take care.
All right, back to
man. Peter, throw me under the bus like that.
I'm just proving that I'm a fan and I watch the content is all.
All right, I'll have to remember that when I'm opening up that faker. All right.
J-Mac, thank you for becoming a channel member once again. I thought you already were, but thank you, J-Mac. Appreciate you. All right, Tony Horton would like to know if he can get some double jointed knees and elbows.
You know, some of the stuff does have it. I think like this one does, and then this one's got the double knees. Some of them do have it. I think our 112 figures, you're going to already see if you have. Oh, sorry, I know you're putting it on me. So we do have double knees on almost everything. I would say you can see on this one, and then definitely in our 112 stuff and some of our 16 stuff, you'll see the double elbows. But again, to what Hector was saying, it's like, especially at this scale, so much of that detail, like when it's blown up, zoomed in, it's really it takes up a lot of the visual landscape. So we are always making the call, like some characters, you need to put that toe cut. It's crazy not to, because there's a pose that we want to put it in, and like that's what we do. Like, what poses would we put it in as a team? And then we try to service that with the articulation. But I'll be honest, it's not, like Hector said, it's not the number one goal for us at 1/6. Now in 112. And you'll see the Ghostbusters, we got the butterfly joints. I think it's the first time you can.
I saw that.
Yeah, they can actually hold the wands, you know. And with He-Man, we have we don't have that, but we have a softer durometer for the torso piece. So you'll be able to put his arms together and almost do a clap.
Oh.
No.
Very controversial take there. But I think he asked that question when we were showing the cartoon Ghostbusters. Was that single or double? I
have to look at it again, but I'm pretty sure we have that in there. Yeah.
All right.
Someone mentioned the Kenner stuff, and I'll say that we don't have access to any of the Kenner stuff. So it's like, unfortunately, if you go back and look at Brewer's Instagram post, he did sculpt, you know, the Kenner ghosts, and they're so good. They look like candy. You know, they're just amazing. But it's just not part of what we can do, unfortunately.
Okay, yeah. Licenses only carry so much stuff that they can do. So
they're so specific every single time, dude.
Yeah.
It's never the same thing, and different companies have different rules. It's wild. So you never know.
As far as 90s cartoons, you know, Batman, X-Men, of course, Spider-Man. You've already done Spider-Man. You've already done Venom, I believe, and now Carnage.
And the symbiote suit Spider-Man we did. Right. And so, yeah, Carnage is the next announcement. Super hyped on that. You know, like Hector was saying, we picked the characters that we just want in our collection. It's not that much. It's not that much of a thought process, except like, who do you guys want to do? And so we have this Friday meeting that we all get on. It's like the last meeting of the day on Friday. It's like our Mondo happy hour where the toy team kind of gets together. We review sculpts, we review progress, but also we just do blue sky time. And we're like, who should we do next? And sometimes it's a lobbying competition where someone's like, oh, we got to do Lizard next. And someone's like, oh, we got to do Green Goblin next. And so then it literally, we hash out stuff like that. And so Carnage was a choice where you're like, if you're doing Spider-Man and Venom, you could walk away with Spider-Man, Venom, and Carnage and have an amazing set. Like, you don't need to get anybody else if you don't want to. And so, you shouldn't have to wait for that. So he was the immediate choice. And there's some pictures floating around online from the panel, but you'll see like tons of accessories, all the Carnage shaped, swappable hands and weapons, the cool tendrils. There's like a version of the symbiote that pops off and like roams around by himself. We're including that.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool figure, man. And I encourage, if you've never gotten one of the animated 1/6 scale figures, it's a different thing. It's not Hot Toys. We hear that all the time. It's not Hot Toys. It's doing a scale where we can achieve things in sculpt and paint that are harder to achieve at a small scale. And so now is when we're hoping to be able to figure out for 1/12.
I think once, like, when Mondo's put out so much stuff, because when you think about it, like the 12-inch arena was like monopolized by like Hot Toys and Sideshow. So there was this connotation of it has to be a certain way.
Yeah. And
now it's like, look, with 6 inches, 6-inch, we have figures that have single elbow, some that double, some that, have soft goods, some don't, some, so it's like everyone's kind of used to it at 6-inch. And I think you're going to start seeing people be okay with what you guys are doing and having a larger variety at that scale.
Yeah, there's room for everything, and if you're a collector and like, everybody has different curation habits in their collection. Some people display a certain way. Some people want, there you go. Don't ask me why I can't just give you this slide to put up clean and high res, but there are reasons why. So we have to lean on folks sharing these online. So anyway, the point is, if you're a figure fan too, and you grew up, like, it's like when Gentle Giant does those big retro Star Wars figures, they just feel different, even though it's the same thing blown up. And so doing like a really high end articulated, figure that has, this high end paint and sculpt, it's just a great thing to experience, especially when you realize that's the way you're going to get that feel of an animated show. Like it's how it feels right in that way,
Yeah, dude, this is packed with accessories. Like, what else would you want? When you get Carnage, I think you got it all right there.
Dude, we have, like I said, so we have our concept phase where Alex Brewer he's very much a quarterback in these animated lines, and so he concepts in 3D. So he'll just go and then show us what he's got. And we're like, oh, freaking awesome. And it's like, am I missing anything? And then we'll all take a day and we're all going back and watching the show and like combing for things. And then, and then we just go, no, you got everything. Or, oh, dude, you got to add this expression or this hand holding this thing because it's such a good, like, that's how the Spider-Man holding the Green Goblin mask accessory came out. Cause it's like, what a cool pose somebody could have on their shelf just like that,
Yeah.
I'm gonna give a fanboy request now that I know you guys have your Friday happy hour.
Yeah.
And I want you to make sure that I said this.
Go ahead.
That my requests, if you're gonna look for animated series,
clip it out.
I want Swamp Thing and
dude,
I want RoboCop.
Dude, you don't even have to ask. The second, we did Man Thing on the Marvel soft vinyl side. We've done like 2 different Swamp Thing screen prints recently. Swamp Thing is one of my favorite characters of all time. Like one of my favorite figures that I own is 2000. I forgot what year it was, but Mattel put out this Swamp Thing with the rubberized
body. Yeah, that was Comic-Con of like 2019 or something.
Dude, with that like egg carton material swamp, that is a beautiful, fun figure. Like, and it's like super reasonable on eBay. Like, if you guys want an awesome Swamp Thing in your collection, dude, I want the Bruce Timm design Swamp Thing from the animated series. I want like a stylized soft vinyl, big chunky Swamp Thing. Dude, I want right in this case. I got the old Kenner Swamp Things in the blister pack, right?
Dude,
here.
I have the play set in my case. Dude, I love that. That line's amazing. That line's amazing.
It's the best, dude. And I got these at PowerCon in Ohio a couple of years ago. And this one's like a French card or something.
Oh, nice.
Which I didn't even realize it. I just wanted this design of this box art to me. They perfected it, dude.
Yep.
They perfected
that line was amazing. I knew as a kid, I didn't even know what Swamp Thing was, but I bought them all because they were so good.
They're perfect.
Yeah.
And RoboCop all day.
Dude, the animated RoboCop, dude, the giant. I want a 12-inch glow in the dark Gatling gun arm RoboCop.
Preach, bro. You are preaching to the absolute choir. That is exactly my taste. And I would just have like an awesome, like clear bodied RoboCop vinyl. You could see the mechanics inside. Or, dude, a giant Ed 209. Okay.
Yeah. Now, could you include the Kenner cap gun gimmick on those?
Well,
dang,
we've done I don't know if the caps actually worked, but we did that Thunder Punch He-Man variant in 1/6 where he had the caps and the shield.
Yeah.
But I don't remember if they actually probably didn't explode, but they look like they do. But speaking of Kenner, if you see the Alien soft vinyl figure we put out at WonderCon, or we unveiled it, it is the Mantis alien from the Kenner line, because we're able to do the Kenner aliens figures.
Oh, nice.
And so it is Hector sculpt. Hector, we got James Groman to design it, Brandon Gash to sculpt it, and Hector painted it. And they did an amazing job modernizing the Mantis alien from that Kenner aliens line. And so we have the rights to that. They're going to come with a small little Hicks in soft vinyl too, and there's going to be different color variants. So hopefully we can scratch the Kenner itch there. Wait till you see the packaging too. It's so good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh man, you're speaking to me, Hal Jordan. I remember that. I had the Swamp Thing that fell apart. It was connected by strings, and that was a cool line. And then they reused the Dagobah playset, of course.
It was to good use.
No, they didn't. Yeah. It's not the reused Dagobah playset. Everyone thinks it is. It's not. It's a totally new sculpt. But
no.
They used concepts from it, like the foam that you sink into. The playsets are two totally different playsets.
So you mean the guy's daughter's name isn't sculpted into the?
That's on the Dagobah playset.
I thought it was on the Swamp Thing too.
The Swamp Thing playset is a totally different tooled item.
Wow.
Yeah, because the Dagobah playset was a base with a hut. The Swamp Thing one was a 2-tiered, snap together, hollowed out cave, basically. That he had a lever that brought him up through the foam and then back down. Don't you start with me, Ryan.
Mind blown. Okay, fine. Yeah. I haven't seen it in like 30 years probably or more.
Yeah, two different playsets.
You guys are doing Mr. Sinister, going deeper into the X-Men line.
Yeah, and so if you're a fan of the original animated series and 97 series, you'll see there are certain head sculpts that are specifically from the 92 line, and his body design is pretty much unchanged over the course of it. So yeah, there's accessories from both worked into it.
Dude,
the whole thing is like you never.
97.
Oh yeah, dude, I love it. You never know when you're going to get a chance to do this stuff again. So we try to just say we have Mr. Sinister, X-Men animated, pull the best stuff. I don't care where it's from. Pull it, put it in the box, and then later you have options. Like with Nightcrawler, there's actually so the Nightcrawler's body from the both series didn't really change. His head design did. So there's two heads, the one on the body and the one next to the one on the body that are references to 97. But then there's a Pride of the X-Men sculpt and a 92 sculpt.
Oh,
so
cool.
You got technically three different looks of Nightcrawler with the swappable heads in there.
Pride of the X-Men specific head sculpt is awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That Banff effect that's rad, dude.
And to the left, I don't know if you can see it on this picture, but there's like other little Banff pieces. So he's gonna have a stand where he's like, lunging, and then that's the base, that big Banff on the bottom, and then there'll be Banff pieces that are attachable to his body. So it looks like he's just Banffing into the scene. Yeah, that was another one that
is
we
cool,
like.
Man.
No Banff, don't put it out.
I know Hasbro probably wouldn't allow it, but if you can get the 6-inch license and just go all out, super premium 6-inch X-Men, I'd probably die, honestly.
We'd be honored if there was a lane where we could, do it and not take anything from anybody else. And I don't know, you never know. There's always a chance of something happening, but you never know.
All right, let me. I want to go back to the chat for a minute because I do have more super chats to get to. Real quick though, John Garrett wants a 1/6 Cat Slayer. I think
no, you don't. No, you don't. Did you see the Super 7 one? Let's wax on this for a second.
All right.
I prefer jumbo figures, dude. Like I like oversized stuff. This is Hedera. It's a giant remake of an old 70s Japanese toy, right? So I love jumbo figures. I love jumbo places. We did the math 2 years ago. Hector and I, we were sitting at the licensing show waiting for it to open. We're having coffee and we're like, could we do 1/6 Grayskull? And it's like, because that would make the most sense. That's where like the hardest hardcore fans are for Mondo right now around Motu. And we did the math, dude. And like, if you want to do it for real, like really do it, you're talking like 5 feet tall or just about. Yeah. You're talking about like 3 to 4, maybe 3 feet deep, I think is what we figured out. And then because it's like you can open it, or if you do an open, dude, I'm just thinking like you're gonna break up families if you release this. You're gonna cause children to go without their fathers, and it's like there's always a chance, but I don't know. I don't know if that's the move, to be honest with you. But you never know. Never say never.
I mean, look. I'm gonna play devil's advocate here.
Go ahead, please.
Remember the old Fisher Price roto blow molded castles that piece together. The kids
modular.
Do it like that, you know?
Yeah. Everything has been discussed, and we want it. Just so everybody knows, we want it to exist, and we've just debated over and over. And we know we don't have a lot of time. That if we don't do it fast, Ramen Toys is going to do something and cut us in there. So we feel it. We feel the heat of him right here. So
that's hilarious.
I mean, people, let's be real though. It's still going to be like over $1,000. So don't get, don't say you want it and then be like, oh, well, that's too expensive.
We've also said that it's like now that we're doing 112, there's definitely a realistic lane to do play sets and big deluxe play sets for sure. In 1/6, we're like, dude, how do we do this and not like tank our company on the bet, because you'd have to do a certain amount of legwork and investment up front, and you want to do it right, and you'd want to do something that's awesome. Like Super 7's Cat Slayer is rad, dude. Like that, they put a lot of love into that, a lot of work into that, and fans loved it. And if you're going to do something like that in 1/6, it has to be at least to that level, to that level. But we may have announcements around 1/6 play sets in the near future.
Awesome. Damn. Okay.
Ranger room.
Yeah. Real quick, this guy's speaking to me. 1001.
It's coming.
Okay.
I think like whenever Nightcrawler drops, you'll see some of those WonderCon posters go.
That's how to draw the Marvel Way Nightcrawler posters.
Yeah, the Dave Cockrum one. Yeah.
I need it.
It's rad.
Let's see here. Rowdy Riles, thanks for the super chat. Sorry, LP. The first half of my name says it all. It's all good, Rowdy. It's all good. I don't mind. Thank you for the super chat. Candyman 5000. Now, speaking of Thundercats, you did show off Chitara, right?
Chitara's in the concept art. Yeah, she's already being worked on. She looks incredible. May Tamtarana, who's one of our sculptors, who did our 112 He-Man. He did Mumra, and he did Lion-O. So, he's just absolutely crushing this line for us. And she looks incredible. The concept art's awesome. It drives the whole project. But when the concept art like kicks off the excitement, our sculptors like then take it to it. Like they interpret the concept art, and they have the room to do it. And they do things, like I said, that feels like the sculptor. Like you're going to get to know a Brewer sculpt from a Tommy Hodges sculpt, from a Brandon Gash sculpt to a May Tamtarana sculpt over time. And dude, she looks so good. She gives me like late 70s like bombshell actress vibe. Like it's perfect. When you guys see it, you're gonna be stoked. And you get a Robert.
And this is 1/6. He's asking about 112. You probably can't announce anything, but
we don't have it right now. And I think Super 7 has it at the moment. I don't know. We don't have it, So maybe one day. Yeah, maybe one day.
All right, there you go. Stormfire Blizzard, thank you for the super chat. I want 112. Where is Waldo and Carmen Sandiego?
Dude, imagine you'd have to do like a 375 Waldo, because the whole point of Waldo is you got to find them. So you'd have to have a collection where he could get lost in, or what's the point? There's Waldo is what you're going to call the line.
Blitzway did a 112. Where's Waldo?
Yeah. It's awesome.
You got to do them like Mighty Max scale. So
that's it.
Have like a scene and like have them hidden in there.
Yes. I love that idea, actually.
Thank you, Stormfire Blizzard. Appreciate you. Mark 44 Prime, thank you for the super chat. Please wink if we'll see a 1/6 scale Motu Roboto and Cyclone soon, please.
Not soon, because we have that line planned out for the next couple of years, and I don't think they're in that line, but we'd love Roboto. We were about to do something Roboto, and then we got derailed, but not 1/6. But anyway, we love those characters, love those designs. So with Motu, it's like everything else. Like you can't, because of the way that they're produced and how much they cost, we don't want to drop like 3 1/6 Motu all at once, or waves of 1/6 Motu. So it just takes longer to get to everybody. But again, like, you're gonna get everybody.
It's got to be such a
right.
double-edged sword for you guys. It's like if you're doing one a quarter, you're like, shit, man, like I gotta wait longer to do this one. But it's like at the same time, yeah, you don't want to.
And now we're working on 1/6 TMNT. We've announced it. We showed off the concept art, and that's another Mondo verse version of the TMNT, where it's like we talked about that it's inspired by the Jim Henson era, and it's like in our mind we're doing, what if we were able to concept, design, write, and direct our own version of the sequel for like part 3. Like what would we expect to see there? And so I think when you see them, dude, they're so awesome. Shout out Brandon Gash and the Kacharik brothers who are working with us. If you know their stuff, they've done some killer TMNT stuff that you guys have seen in statues and all that. We're building a little world in that line, a little narrative and a story. So then it's going to be one more lane clogged up, like when do you drop what?
I love that you guys announced it, because little inside baseball. I was talking with Playmates about a month ago about just possible licenses, what we can do to work together and stuff like that. And I just floated it out there. I said, hey, how do you feel about, a 12-inch, highly premium Turtles line? And they're like, oh, we have a partner doing that already. And then you guys announced it like a week later. And I'm like, okay.
We've been there so many times, dude, where we're like, we're so sure we found something that nobody has done or thought of, and then we put together a pitch deck and we're like licking our lips, like that meme with a guy coming out behind the tree. And as soon as we say it, they're like, we'll get back to you. And then we don't hear anything. And then McFarlane announces something like, just tell us so we don't keep working on it.
I know. Yeah, I've been there a couple times already.
The good thing about the Turtles line, though, is that it's not even the same as the original Mondo 1/6 line, which was more of a Mirage comic style line. Mm-hmm. So I think that there'll always there's room for someone to do a lot of interpretations. Like, did you ever see that? I think 3-0 did some that were like loosely early 2000s based.
Yeah.
So Turtles has like that library of styles. So I think there's always going to be room for cool stuff there.
Yeah.
All right. Real quick. We already talked about this Triple D's Dungeon. Thank you for the member chat, Captain Planet. It would be awesome. Get on an LP. I can't get on it. I don't make toys.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But thank you, Triple Dungeon. Okay. Tons and tons of hype over this. And I'm not even a Masters of the Universe guy, but you show this at WonderCon. Yeah. It is your 112 He-Man from Motu 2000X.
Yeah, so 2000X is like what it's like lovingly called. It has so many names, but yeah, basically the Motu that came out in 2002, 2003, which is why it's 2000X, because it's like 02, 03. Yeah. This line, I mean, Pixel Dan just put out a video this morning, and it kind of encapsulated our feelings around this. That there were like McFarlane Toys really kicked it off, right? Like toys that were geared at older people who were looking for sculpt, design, fidelity, those kind of things, right? And the idea of an adult collector just didn't really exist in an official way. But when this line came out, it was this line for me and the original Marvel Legends line, like the ones that came in the big blister packs.
Yep.
That I was like, we're back, dude. I am all in on toy collecting again. And I remember going to Walmart at midnight when they would open the boxes with the Mattel stripe on, just to try to find Mechanic, to try to find like those rare figures, dude. So the idea that Mondo's finally able to do 112 He-Man is already nuts, and a huge honor and really a lot of pressure to nail it, because so many people, everybody who was on the fence about 1/6, they're paying attention to 112, because that was the barrier for some people. Like, it's awesome, but I don't collect 1/6. Got it. Heard. Totally fair. So with this one, we know there's even more eyes on it. And again, it's this amazing task of balancing us putting our fingerprints on it so that it feels like it's a Mondo exclusive thing, but also making it an homage to that toy line that the Four Horsemen like just crushed. That's what made me want to be a toy designer, that line. And then also, balancing out the actual cartoon and how those characters were depicted in the comics. And so we're working with an amazing team. We got Emiliano Santalucia, which If you don't know him, you probably do from his work. He's been closely linked to Motu forever, and he was very integral to that 2000X era in the comics, illustrating the comics, doing tons of key art that was used on merch, and it's just he's doing all the concept art for this line. And then May Tamtarana, who's used to go by Sculptor Shelf on Instagram.
Oh yeah,
now so now he's May Shelf. He's the one sculpting these, and you guys like this. I wish we wanted to have something at WonderCon, so we had this 3D print. It's not articulated in real life. It's just kind of like 3D print. But wait, I can't wait till you guys see it painted. Holy crap! And then I think a lot of people missed this. I didn't see anybody's video call it out. But by his feet, the two alternate heads, the one on the right is our homage to the Four Horsemen Motu head.
I picked that up.
Yeah. And so for people who are like, oh, it's cool, but that's not the head sculpt or whatever, like you're getting that one too. And it's an updated version of that one. And the other two are inspired by it, right? Updated. It's going to have soft goods and fur and like on the boots and all that when you see it again. But it's just an amazing, like a challenge. So this one, I'm pretty sure does have the double knees, double elbows. And like I said, he'll have the ability to crunch because of the soft durometer in the chest. And it's all the details you come to expect and love. And I can't wait.
So the crunch in the chest is like you have the soft overlay.
Yeah,
with
soft.
the
It's funny when Hasbro came out with that Hulk. I'm like, oh, people will know what I'm talking about now. They, because like, so yeah, we weighed out doing the butterflies. And again, it didn't like how it looked, to be honest with you. And so we tested it out. And actually, have you ever seen this? Have you guys ever seen this figure? I bought everybody on the team this figure from Big Bad Toy Store.
Oh yeah.
You know this figure?
Yeah, it's a blank body. Is it? Which one is that?
I forget the name.
Did Figma do that one?
I think so. I'm remiss.
I don't think that was Figma. That's way too big for Figma. It was
like a $20 or $30 figure on Big Bad, and it comes with a bunch of swappable hands and feet and all that. But it's such an awesome, this is an awesome figure to hold if you're just a figure fan. So we use it as reference, and we loved the way that you can get really great poses with the chest being soft and like being able to move his hands in to grab accessories and all that while still preserve the look of the silhouette there. So we were looking at this, as a way to kind of figure that out. Thank you,
Omar. The Atom body.
Yeah.
So as far I see a lot of comments about posing for the for this figure. Will he be able to two-hand a sword?
Yeah, that's one of the things that we worked on. So you should be able to two-hand it. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
They said it couldn't be done with Lion 016. You can. You can do it. And again, with Ghostbusters, they hold the wand. So yeah, it's definitely in our mind when we're doing these things.
Awesome. Yeah. So I mean, there's so much He-Man out there. This is obviously a premium take with the articulation setup. There's no butterflies, but it'll have a sort of butterfly function so that they can grab their swords. Now, it says 112. 112 isn't an exact science because we know a lot of lines say they're 112, but they're different from each other. You have SHF 112, you have Marvel Legends 112. Who will this guy stand shoulder to shoulder with? Is he closer to like a Marvel Legends or an SHF?
I think he should line up with Legends. I haven't put him next to any of them, so I wouldn't be able to tell you offhand, but I'll definitely get the exact answer and we'll answer on the next Toy Talk. But he is in that scale. And again, like I was saying early on, they are going to be in scale with each other. So it's not like one height for everybody. Clawful has to tower over He-Man.
Right. Okay. Johnny Cock, thank you for the member chat. Still really hoping that Ultraman Sofubi will happen for an anniversary next year. Please.
Yeah, man. Love Ultraman. Would love to do that.
Thank you, Johnny Cock. Deep Space Niner, thanks for the super chat. Peter, I absolutely love your Vice City Rage colorway for Takoro.
So that's my original kaiju design. You can see it on the site. I designed them over at Skybound and kind of created a world for it, and we dropped a couple of colorways, and that one's a really popular. It's like this kind of blue and pink and yellow and black. It's like gives you 80s Miami vibes, and he is the first kaiju from Miami, so we had to give him those colors. But yeah, Mondo, we do a lot of figures in that color variant, that pink and blue, so you're definitely going to see some real soon in that color.
Cool. Thank you, Deep Space Niner. Lio Convoy is here. He says, nah, that's a lie. Whoa. The Lionel can't do it properly. Please don't make me do this on Ryan's stream.
Do it. Try it. We do it.
It's the which Lionel?
You're talking about the Mondo Lionel, like to be able
Yeah.
to hold a sword together.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
the 12-inch one he's talking about.
Is that one out already?
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, he's
Yeah, Ryan, did you miss when I said I wanted to buy it? You don't pay
listen,
attention.
Listen, I pay attention to a lot, but I'm like juggling here. Lyle Convoy, thanks for the super chat. The Sword of Omens can't be properly put right in front of his face for sight beyond sight. He can't properly hold it above his head. He hits none of his guards properly.
Sorry, dude. We'll try better next time, I guess.
All right. Thank you, Lio.
Lio is a die-hard.
Yeah, I can see
He
it.
is.
Respect.
And he is blunt. Thank you, Lio, for the
Yeah.
super chat. Let's see here. Dino Spumoni, thank you for the super chat. SMDWIFTA Smid Wifta. I don't know what this means, Dino Spumoni. Do we know what this means?
No.
Smid Wifta? All right. Thanks for the super chat, man. Max, thank you for 5 memberships. Appreciate you. John E., Me Without Mew, Darth Gutierrez, Bull 80, and Sean something became channel members. Thank you. Stay tuned for the after show, guys. Much appreciated. And thank you so much, Maximilian Tucker. All right, let's get to the next Mo2 thing that you showed at WonderCon. Manny Faces. Now, this one's back to 1/6.
Yeah, this is a 1/6 piece, and another really rad one with Manny Faces. You know, we focused on the feature of the figure, which is all the faces. So we have 12 different faces plus the pre Manny Faces, you know, cursed head. So each one of these you can swap. You can take off the helmet, swap in the piece. It looks kind of like a top that you spin, and then you can spin them. So each one, like there's each head has a monster face, a robot face, the regular Manny Face's head, and then something else, and then different expressions for each. So it's like the maniest faces I think you can get.
Yeah. So what is there? There's 4 faces per tumbler. So that's
and
awesome.
then 3 tumblers, and then the separate head before he got changed by Skeletor.
Damn.
That is enormous compared to that 112.
Yeah, you can get a sense of the scale there. And then
totally.
Our sculptor on this, Tommy Hodges, did an incredible job, like really finding this way for Manny Faces to kind of come through all the different designs he's been through over the years and like filter through one final lens. It definitely has like the Horseman influence, the influence of the original. It's got a lot of Mobius and Kirby influence, especially on the back when you see him from the behind. It's got some Kirby design elements in there. And just super stoked. This is one that fans have been asking for so long. Where's Manny Faces? Where's Manny Faces? So we're super stoked to bring it out, and I think people are going to really dig it.
Yeah, I don't have there was no pictures of him from the back, so all I got is the front here, but we'll take your word for it.
No, yeah, you'll see it soon. Don't worry.
All right, and then She-Ra. Now, this looks amazing. When my sisters would put this cartoon on when I was a kid, I'm like, what are you doing? I'm out of here.
You don't even know who He-Man is. They're trying to get you to understand She-Ra, for Christ.
I knew who He-Man was. I just didn't.
Yeah, I'm just teasing.
Yeah. She-Ra and Swiftwind.
Yeah. This is another piece. So last year we released our final deluxe Scareglow with Scaremare. And Scaremare, was an original Mondo invention into the canon that Mattel allowed us to do. We had this idea. We knew we were going to do Swiftwind, and we said, man, it'd be cool to figure out another function for the horse, so that you can, get it's an expensive piece. And so we had the idea, like, how come Scareglow doesn't have a ride? So it was Bob, Hector, and Florian Burtmer, the 3 who designed and came up with the idea. And it was just idea, like, what if he had like this really rad, like death horse, and and that's when, and then that kind of jumped the line to do Scaremare first. Swiftwind and She-Ra were always the plan. We had done She-Ra in the past. We always wanted to revisit She-Ra and give her like a deluxe package offering with different looks and all that. And then Swiftwind was something we've been asked for forever. Where's Swiftwind? And so this piece is just really rad. Again, kind of like brings together all of the elements of the original design. You can see the alternate heads and the more traditional color and sculpts there. But then the one that you see on display all fleshed out is the Mondo take on it, right? So there's a new mask, the saddle and the armor there is all original design. All the pieces are swappable. The wings are articulated. They can fold down nicely to the side. And then they come with a lookie and then the baby Swiftwind as well, which you can see from different angles.
So 1/6 from the hooves to the tip of the wings, that's got to be a couple feet tall.
I got Scaremare here. Hold on, I'll grab it.
All right, that's huge.
Scaremare's such a cool name.
It is. And before he comes back, X Factor wants you and him to talk about articulation, design, and pricing decisions. All right, you can touch on that.
Yeah, I mean it's
a broad subject.
Yeah, it's different strokes for different folks. It's like not every company is going to operate the same way. It's like, All
right, so this one I don't even have the wings on Scaremare because it's like it doesn't fit in my personal shelf that I have set up for it. But so I just have them. But you can see. Let me see next to. I guess here's a Funko Pop for scale.
Holy hell! That thing is huge.
Yeah.
Dude, so that thing could be a nightlight at night.
Dude, it glows so strong. I wonder if I can pull it off. Let's see if I can turn off this. I don't know if it's enough light, but it's not enough darkness in here. But it glows super well. Yeah. And it's an awesome piece. And it was the impetus to be able to do a horse figure and figure out ways to like flesh it out, maximize it, and then we ended up being able to add a character to the Motu lore, which is awesome.
That's like the biggest challenge. Like I talk about it my days at Hasbro. It's like, okay, you can do 6-arm Spider-Man, but what's the other use for it? It's like, because you want to, that whole tooling for one item thing is never a great idea.
And you do a great job on your shows talking about stuff and educating. And I think that's the cool thing about having like now the toy collector base knows so much more about, sometimes not as much as they think, but more than ever. And there's great audience suggestions that have driven designs in the past. Like there's lots of cool stuff that comes from it. But the point is that, educating people on that is great because then you can kind of have some context over why a decision is made that doesn't seem as obvious as it should,
Yep.
Very cool.
And by the way, that She-Ra is a 3D print too, so that's why they printed her like this. It's not how she'll look. Obviously, she'll be fully articulated. But every time I see her like that, I want to call it out.
Okay. More Motu. Well, we talked about Chitara. Clawful is kind of more of an obscure character, isn't it?
I mean, I've heard people say that, and so it must be the case. But for me, Clawful is always one of my favorites. Cool. And in the 2000X line, he had a much more prominent role. And it was funny because when you got at the end of that figure line, the Mattel one, it ended before they ever got to Clawful. Like, just didn't make Clawful. And so the Four Horsemen then teamed up with NECA and did I think they call them Staction figures or whatever. So they were not articulated, but they did a Clawful in that scale, but it was like a statue, essentially. It was beautiful, but not an articulated figure. So this will be, I think, the first ever articulated figure of Clawful from this era. It'll be awesome. It comes with a cool base. Yeah.
112.
112, yeah.
Awesome. Skeletor. I mean, you can't have He-Man without Skeletor.
Right.
So
yeah. And I just saw the sculpt of it this morning. How it's turning out. It's looking so good. Again, Tommy Hodges, Emiliano's artwork. Tommy Hodges sculpting this one, and it's just beautiful. Part of the what makes this era of design stand out is that they were really like slim at the waist and kind of bulked over at the top, if you remember. So it's kind of like figuring out how to recall that silhouette, but updating it so it feels like it can sit alongside all your other figures. But this Skeletor in this era is just so good. To me, is my favorite era of the character. Like, he was so funny and kind of bitchy. Like, it's just so good.
Man-at-Arms, He-Man's buddy.
Yeah, so Man-at-Arms was like one of the, like Hector said, one of the first figures in the 1/6 line. And like, if you didn't get them back then, there's really no way to get them unless you get it secondary or something like that. So when we did this line, we said, you got to do a Man-at-Arms early because like we haven't put out a Man-at-Arms as a company in forever. So to your point, Ryan, like it's He-Man's like number 2 man, you know, so like you got to have him there, but also we just missed doing a Man-at-Arms. So yeah, it's an awesome one. Again, like those were perfect figures in that era, and so it's just figuring out how to pay homage, respect to what came before, and also pushing it forward, because that's what they, you know, the Four Horsemen do now, right? They're pushing it forward. If you're a toy business owner now, if you're designing, you got to go forward. You got to move forward. So paying respects to the past, but also trying to move forward is the goal with this line.
I mean, right off the gate, you're jumping into Motu 2000X, and you're showing what, 4 figures?
Yeah.
Right off. I mean, so
2 separate waves. They won't all come out at the same time. The He-Man and Clawful will be first, and then Man-at-Arms and Skeletor a little later on.
Yeah, Motu fans, got plenty to eat right now for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see here. And then you teased. Now I don't know what the hell this is. Over the Garden Wall.
Well, let me do you the service of pointing you to this show. It is awesome. It's an animated show. You can watch it on Max right now. I believe it's like 10 episodes. They're super short. Like you can finish the whole thing like in an hour max. And it's just this original cartoon that is like these 2 brothers that kind of get like lost in the forest, and it's this alternate world where like fabled original things and like pumpkin people. It's really good, dude. It's a great autumn vibe, fall vibe for sure.
It sounds very Wizard of Oz, just from the way you
describe it. Yeah. It's dude, it's just really, I've never met anybody who sees it and doesn't love it. So, you know, we've been wanting to do these for a while. We have this category called Mondo Squads, which is, you know, in one, like we did a Daria and Jane and a lot of accessories in one box. And we did Our Real Monsters, you know, all the monsters and a few others and all different swappable face features and accessories. The idea is that there are certain like characters and shows or movies or whatever that if you're a fan of, you might not necessarily have to be a figure collector to be a fan of it and want the figures. So these are every character that you'd want in one box, and you get your whole collection ready to go. They're articulated, but more limited, tons of swappable pieces, and the same high-end paint and sculpt that you expect from our other stuff.
All right. And then I kind of already spoiled it, but yeah, you guys did announce that you're going to be working on Superman, the animated series. So obviously Superman out the gate. Can you say anything else besides that?
Hopefully you'll see more at Comic-Con. But if we get to put together everything that's on the current concept art, it's going to floor people, because there's one thing that if we get to pull it off, it's a cool oh shit moment. I'm like, damn, I can't believe we did that. So it's packed to the gills with great stuff, great call outs from the entire series, diorama elements. You know, we always do like an exclusive version that has way more stuff, and then we'll do like a standard version that's a little bit more pared down. But the exclusive version, you know how Mad Hatter says exclusive or fail? It for sure is. It for sure is.
Listen, if you do Metallo, don't limit a glowing Kryptonian heart to the exclusive.
I love Metallo, dude.
Yeah.
I know, and I totally agree with that. There are certain accessories that like it would be wrong to remove from any version of the character as a figure.
Yeah.
But there are some things that are so extra. They're like, wow, dude, like really, we're doing that? Okay. And there is there's 2 of them in this particular set that I just cannot freaking wait to announce it to people. Yeah.
Chad's here. He says, if you want to shoe, you shoe with me. Thank you, Chad.
1/6 Danzig win.
Yeah. Oh man, if you could do a 112 Danzig, I'd be all in on that.
Super 7 did the Lord's work. You saw those like Motu inspired Misfits Danzig characters they did. They're good, dude. They're like little Motu bodies. Glenn Danzig, I think Jerry Only. Yeah, look them up. And
they did Jerry Only too?
I think you have to do Jerry Only to get the license. Yeah. That's what I've heard. You get Danzig, Jerry Only, and the Crimson Ghost, but they're all like in the Motu bodies. They look so cool.
I guess it's more surprising that they did Danzig, that he let anyone. I mean, the guy.
Yeah.
He's an angry little guy. Let's see here. Okay, I got to get to the chat because we got some questions, and we're at 2 hours already. Thank you for your time.
We're doing it, dude. Yeah. We're doing it big.
Lord of Brooklyn.
Maximum
thanks for
3 POA.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Lord of Brooklyn, for the super chat. Mondo, what manga? I want to say manga. What manga anime property would you like to produce? P.S. Could you ban LaserPants from all future Mondo purchases?
I don't know what you did to this guy.
I don't know what I did to Lord of Brooklyn, but thanks for the $5.
We actually are working on a few different ones right now. We've done, we released Ein from Cowboy Bebop. So if you're a Cowboy Bebop fan, we did an Ein soft vinyl of the corgi from the show, the dog, and it comes in a suitcase like it does in the show when they discovered. And it's such a rad piece. You might be able to find someone carrying them somewhere, but they sold out on our site. But we love Cowboy Bebop. You know, we might have more to say about that this year, and we're working on a couple of others I can't announce just yet. But yeah, we there's some really rad ones. We definitely want to do more manga and anime stuff. It is a tough realm of licenses. We did I don't know if you count Yu-Gi-Oh, but we came out with a Blue Eyes White Dragon soft vinyl figure this year that's super rad that Brandon Gash sculpted. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't give a shit about it. Like, I didn't grow up with Yu-Gi-Oh. I used to work at GameStop when I was like in my early 20s. I sold Yu-Gi-Oh cards to kids at the counter, and I was like, "What is this?" And then it turns out like some of the guys on the team are fans, and when this came up, they're like, "Let's do that." I'm like, "Okay." The figure is so freaking rad that I had to just eat my words and say I'm putting that on the shelf. It's awesome. So yeah. Oh, I love Space Dandy. House Hendo just said would love to do that.
I worked at a
Good.
Yeah, I worked at a comic book store, I think this was like the year 2000. And yeah, like when Yu-Gi-Oh first came out, I was like, what is this? Because Pokemon was out. But then like there was like this super rare set of cards. It was like 5 pieces that made this godlike creature, like this guy in all armor. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. Like,
it's better to have an open mind about these certain things, and every once in a while I feel my inner hater come out on stupid shit, and I'm like, why did I say that, or why did I do that? And I don't have any hate for it. I just like I go back to like 21-year-old, and I'm like, what is this kids crap?
Yeah.
But in reality, I'm like, I work with so many people of different ages, and that was their thing when they came up. I hated when people shitted on my thing at the comic store. I used to get gate kept. I don't know what the word. All the time when I was a kid at comic stores, I was like too young for the crowd, and I would go in to buy like Batman or Spider-Man, whatever. I waited in line for Spawn, number 1, and I remember buying like a Spawn comic or something, and the clerk at the store goes, "You read that? Have you ever read Watchmen?" And I'm like, dude, I'm 11. Like, So I don't want to be that guy ever.
Well, I think Yu-Gi-Oh, if I had, put it in 1980s kids terms, would be like the GoBots to Pokemon's Transformers.
Totally. Good call.
Yeah. Let's see here. Greg Harris, thanks for the member chat. 112 2000X Tila would be amazing.
Oh, I love that design. In our Tila 1.6, we actually included a head sculpt that is 100% homage to that with a high ponytail. I see some people in the chat asking about like more on-screen accurate Thundercats. We have talked about it. Yeah, we've talked about in the past, like, we wanted to do a Mondo version of everything, so you'll notice differences, in these designs when they come out. But like with our other lines, in Motu, we did our trap jaw, and then we did a classic trap jaw that looks very familiar to the 80s animation. And it's some reused parts and some totally new sculpted parts and different paint apps. And then with our X-Men, we have the cell shaded ones. And then we have this Uncanny line, which is painted to be more like a comic accurate figure. So there's always a chance for stuff like that. But I'll be honest and say that we rather come out the gate with something original when we can, when we're given that permission to do it, and then maybe revisit it later.
Yeah, you did. We touched on that earlier, how it's just like, I was given the opportunity to do something from scratch. And it's like, I really like that you guys are doing that with the Motu stuff. Like that Bandy Faces, it's like, that's amazing because you guys, that's your own thing. And it's like, it's a culmination of a lot of things. And it's like, for purists like Lio, maybe that Lionel's not for him, but
for sure,
I love that Lionel because sometimes things can't translate to certain scales. So if you have the way Lionel look, maybe it wouldn't look great. Like, some of the cell shaded animated stuff looks great when you scale it up. But I like that you guys said, all right, at 12-inch, man, this thing has to have a ton of more detail, a lot more accessories, a lot more things going on, and it's your version. I like that.
Yeah, and like I said, it's like you mentioned it when you brought up the Captain America. It's special because it's a rare thing to get offered. Like that doesn't happen very often in this business where someone says, "Here, take my baby, do whatever you want to it." You know what I mean? And so, like, whenever that happens, especially if you're an artist, you know, and you're someone who grew up creating and wanting to invent and by the way, like contribute to be more than just a technician. You know, like to be more than just. You know, you want to kind of say I had a hand in something, you know, and sometimes it's as dramatic as Scaremare creating a brand new character. Yeah. And sometimes it's as simple as like, you know, you put an accessory on that just everybody picks up on and now it's the new thing that everybody includes, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where it comes from if I'm being totally honest. And we always will opt for that when we can.
Yeah. I think a lot of the, you know, the diehard fans, I think, you know, yeah, they want what they know and they love. Yeah. To me, it's like we're creators, so we don't want someone to say just make this what it was. It's like when I was working on Legends, it was like, okay, well, I did this comic accurate guy or the MCU version. When I got the chance, like I did Kingpin, it was like I broke the mold. I was like, no, I want to do my own Kingpin, and Marvel said, do your own Kingpin. Cool. I don't want the orange vest and the purple pants. I wanted you know, I always call it like the Pursuit of Cobra era because it's like that Pursuit of Cobra G.I. Joe line. They didn't just do the classic shit. They said, here's Duke, here's this modern version of him. It's great as a creator to have that little bit of freedom to really put your mark on something. Like that Captain America that I did is the only time that Captain America costume was ever used. That Manny face is going to be the only time you guys that's done. Like that's awesome to know that.
And it would be, and maybe something like we said, maybe something that we do, someone else will pick up on it and like inspire them on a show. Like we got told by the guys who worked on the Werewolf by Night Marvel show that they did on Disney Plus, that our Man-Thing soft vinyl figure that was designed by James Groman and sculpted and painted all that was the influence for the way they designed Man-Thing in that show in terms of what details and things like that they included. Dude, how rad is that? Like, you know, because even when you're working on this stuff behind the scenes, there's always a sense that like the toy world is still separate from Hollywood and how that gets produced. But you find out that like one of our friends, Ted Biaselli, who's a producer on the Motu show on Netflix, on One Piece, on Wednesday, he's a big toy nerd and he loves our stuff. So we chat about stuff and sometimes he'll say, oh, I'm going to pull this into that. And it's a cool thing. And so like you said it perfectly. When you get that opportunity, it just feels great.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Impossible Pie wants you to give Action Force to Mondo, 112 Pandora, please.
I think you got it nailed. I don't think you nobody else needs to touch that. Like I think you got that's a cool thing. You create something and you get to build a world in there. It's amazing.
But at the same time, I would love for another company to do Action Force, some iteration of Action Force, because it's like I have my lane, and sometimes you have blinders on when you're designing.
Totally.
It's like I don't think I could ever do this for Action Force. So it's like I would want someone to do this because it's not something that's on my radar that I am good. I always say I'm not good at designing robots or vehicles. I'm good at designing like figures and gear. But I would love for someone to take Action Force and do something cool with it. So I'm hoping the brand gets big enough to the point where it gets people's attention to want to do their own thing with it.
Could totally happen.
All right. I got to get to the chat, guys.
Do it.
Omar says, will you guys make a 1/6 Mondo versus Joe line, G.I. Joe line? Coco next to Skeletor and Mum-Ra would look awesome.
Dude, would love to. I think someone's doing them right now. I think, is it 3-0? Someone just
fully clothed one. Yeah, the soft goods and stuff.
Oh, so they're doing 1/6, huh? Wow.
Yeah. And they're rad. So I think that lane's going to be occupied for a while.
John Garrett wants to know if Mondo products are going to end up at brick and mortar besides the Disney parks. I've never seen Mondo at retail.
Your specialty stores. So like you'll see them, at comic shops, people carry them. Like there's a bunch of shops in Orlando that carry them. Here in South Florida, we have Tate's Comics that carries them. If a local shop wants to carry them, they can. We have wholesale team set up so you can so smaller businesses can order, and get a discount to resale. So if you have a local short store you go to, let them know.
Okay, Lyle wants to know where you get the references for Thundercats, the color references for Thundercats.
I'm not sure. If you want to be more specific, I'm happy to answer it, but I'll tell you that we obviously pull from everywhere. And when we were designing Lion-O specifically, the idea was, what if we were designing a Thundercats movie, right? Like,
Okay.
how would we interpret Lion-O to translate in a way that could feel realistic, I guess, what would make sense? What would we want to see? And that's 100% it. When you see a stylization, there's nothing else to it except this is what we internally thought was cool and want to see. And so, sometimes you hit and sometimes you don't, but with Lion-O crushed for us. And we had so many people reach out about Lion-O, like, holy crap, now I'm confident in you guys doing a whole line. And then when Mumrock got announced last week, we had a few of those warehouse fine Lion-Os at the booth, and they sold out once people saw Mumrock, like, oh my God, that's where this is going. Okay, I'll get Lion-O. So 100% is what I meant.
All right. Elton wants to know about Down to Earth. Is that something you're working on?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Down to Earth is a YouTube channel hosted and run by Christian Harloff, who used to be Collider and Schmodown. If you ever watched the Schmodown,
I know who Christian Harloff is. Yeah.
So he's a good friend. We used to work together at Skybound, and I'm a big UFO nerd, and dude, don't get me started. I want it to be real so bad that I'm not even objective anymore. But I'm trying to pull
it's real.
I think it is.
It's real.
I mean, there's definitely something up there that we can't explain. I wonder if, like, are we getting mantids? Are we getting like lizard people? What are we getting? Are we getting grays? Or is it just us doing like advanced technology stuff? So anyway, it's a fascinating point of interest of mine. And so when Christian a few years ago watched this documentary that Nat Geo put out on Disney Plus, that I think Spielberg produced it, or J.J. Abrams. It was just very good. Like, here's the history of the official, what's accepted in like the real world of UFOs. That everybody admits and acknowledges is legit, and it covers all of that. And then so many people watched that, including him. He's like, I want to know more about this. And then it was around the time that 2017 documentary, the New York Times article came out where we admitted we had a task force on it. Mm-hmm. And so he hit me up. He put a video up on his regular channel. I hit him up like, dude, are you getting into this now? Let's talk. And so we started doing. He started doing the channel, and I would come on from time to time, and I still do. And we're very skeptical. Like, we look at everything like, this is probably BS. This is probably AI. This is probably something. But we're watching it very closely because there are some things that we think are super legit and really hard to disprove. And I just have I have a healthy skepticism when people who are part of an establishment regime say, I am still employed, but also these are leaks. And I'm like, dude, I want to believe you. Like, I want to believe Lou Elizondo so fucking bad. He's a Miami Cuban, bro. His dad was in the Bay of Pigs, bro. That's my people. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so, like, I want to believe everything that guy says. And I've read his book, watch him talk all the time. But there's a Stephen Greer element too. So it depends on how much of this you're into. There's like warring faction. So
well, dude,
I love it.
Look at all the Bob Lazar shit. It's just like, dude,
I know, dude, there is a weird connection of geekdom. I won't say the names because it's private, but in the Hollywood geek world, there's a major player who is closely connected to the Lears and the Lazars. And I know them from the Comic-Con side of things. And they showed me some pictures and stuff of them hanging out. And I'm like, holy fuck, these pictures are crazy. Oof. I don't know, man. Like, that's my real big other fandom besides this. And so if anybody ever wants to watch it, Christian crushes on that channel. You should definitely watch it. It's a blue collar approach to this whole topic.
So what are your
what's
thoughts
going on with the pyramids, man?
Dude, I'm eating it up.
I'm balls deep in the pyramid shit right now.
Oh, dude, I have my algorithm is so binary. It is literally like toy stuff and UFO alien stuff. There's nothing else. There's nothing else.
How do you feel about Dave Grush being hired as a staffer for Representative Burleson?
So there you go. I'm optimistic, man. Like I like that guy and I find him quite believable but I always feel like anything that can be will be co-opted by the government, and use it, either it's totally fake and it's, Operation Project Bluebeam, where it's like, let's just project holograms into the sky over over the battlefield and freak people out to distract them, or it's real and then that's manipulated too for whatever reason, like, I don't know. I always get worried because I'm like, I don't want to have a new enemy in the world or in the universe. I want more friends.
You want friends like Sam Newsman, reporting since Roswell. Thank you, Sam. He's a real media puppet. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, no kidding. That's rad.
Okay, so we asked you about that. Grizzly Nightmare 80, thank you for the super chat. Would love to see a 1/6 Super Godzilla by Mondo.
Super Godzilla is something that we've talked about a lot, and we did. What can I say here? We've did. You might see some callbacks to that soon. Let's just say that.
All right, cool. And then we got 1/6 Godzilla would be enormous, but that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Blue Jay Entertainment, thanks for the super chat. He says, congratulations on the success of Mondo, especially those real Ghostbuster figures. Will those be available again soon? Also, I don't know if this was asked, will Valaverse keep current pricing structures?
The Ghostbusters, the 2-packs are timed editions, so when they come out, they're up for about a month. And then anybody who wants to pre-order in that window can. But after that month, that goes away. But you can still get Peter Venkman Slimer, which also comes with a mini Sam Hain being sucked into the trap. You can still get Egon and the intro ghost that comes with another separate ghost being sucked into the trap. So we are making the solo Ghostbusters evergreen, but the 2-packs are going to be limited.
All right, cool. Thank you, Blue Jay. We are through all the super chats and the chats. Thanks so much for coming on, man. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm so happy. You guys come up on my stream on my algorithm all the time, and I love watching it. Super fun. I think there's a good level of saltiness in some of the discussions that some people might not be into, but I love it. And I just appreciate, Mad Hatter told me you guys are great too. And so just appreciate getting to know more people in this business. And I have, Bobby, a lot of respect for you and Action Force doing what you do. It is so much work, dude. And that's we work for someone else. Yeah, exactly. So much respect. And just thank you to all the audience who tuned in and watched, and happy to get to know you guys.
I just want to say, no one asked about that, Elite Legend. But I just want to say, I sent the link to Mad Hatter, and he didn't come on. I told him to come in, crash the party.
Listen,
and he didn't do it. He said he has better things to do.
There's enough personality here. Yeah, we don't need another diva in here. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I could just do my impression of Mad Hatter review.
Hey,
okay.
Hey, well, first of all, I have to turn this quality of this camera down by 57%.
Yeah, just put like a potato in front of your camera, and then it'll
He's a wonderful person. I spent, because I like him so much, I spent a lot of time in conversation sending him links. This is a good microphone that you could buy. And it costs only a fraction of what all those figures behind you cost. One microphone. And then I told him, you don't even need to buy an expensive camera. Get a light. Get one light. One shitty light from Amazon.
That's all you need.
But I think at this point, it's his brand. It's like the Oscar the Grouch aesthetic. Yeah. If it was too crisp, wouldn't work.
Yep. All right. Thank you. Thanks again for coming on.
Anytime.
Bobby, what do you got coming up? Anything you want to plug? Anything? What do you got?
I don't think anything coming up. We got Steel Brigades will be here at the end of the month, and the exclusive for IshCon will be in that shipment also, but they won't go up yet. Vanguard Hall sets are on their way. But other than that, we got just a few things trickling out until DFW, where we're going to show a shit ton of reveals.
Nice. Maybe
a new license, maybe some secret stuff we're working on, new lines. Ooh, it's going to be wild at that panel.
Cool. And then Peter, I want you to plug your show with Christian Harloff one more time. What's it called?
Oh, it's really his show. He just invites me on periodically. Down to Earth with Christian Harloff. If you look it up, it's separate from his regular movie talk channel.
Yeah.
But it's grown so much. He's got awesome interviews with like top guests. Like he's had Tim Gallaudet on. He's had Ryan Graves on. Like, he's got everybody coming on. So it's that connection with getting guests that he has. It's been great for him. And then Hector and I do Mondo Toy Talk on the Mondo YouTube channel, which is not just Mondo. Now you're gonna have to look it up. If you put Mondo in YouTube, you get some guy who's like a hairstylist.
I have the link in the description below.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. So we do giveaways all the time. So like just watching and answering super basic trivia, you could win expensive figures.
Well, there you go. All right. Well, thanks again for coming on.
Thank you.
I'm going to end this channel. Member, stay tuned for the after show. Okay, I am doing an after show tonight. Come back whenever you want. I would love to get you and Mad Hatter on for a show, or even like
anytime.
You and Christian Harloff would be awesome. I would love to talk about aliens and stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd be super stoked to do it. Hit me up after and we'll figure it out.
All right, cool. Then, with that being said, Bobby, sign us out.
Why you always got to put this pressure on me?
I
don't like it, Ryan. I don't like it. I don't want to sign out to everybody. Enjoy your Sunday.